Welcome to Historic Sandown, the 33rd running that the Victorian Historic Racing Register has assembled here at the home of horsepower, the Sandown International Motor Raceway. We've been lucky enough in this instance to stand right in front of Abby Wiggett's car. Keep us out of the weather. We are assured it's Melbourne, it's this time of the year. There will be some showers, but the weather will clear throughout the weekend. I'm Darren Smith, and I've been joined by, well, the golden retriever puppy of Australian motorsport, Emma Dean.
Oh my goodness, what an intro, Darren. Thank you so much. I'm not sure, we might have to refine that one a little bit. The clouds are certainly upon us and the heavens have opened up. We've got rivers everywhere across the track. But to the drivers' credit, they're handling it really well so far, Darren, in practice and quali.
It is certainly a packed program we've got here. Em, I know you're waiting to see all of those magnificent Group S cars and some of your friends in Regularity as well.
Absolutely. Regularity is an interesting class for me. I love watching how these guys self-improve, but also Group S. I can't wait to see that Di Tommaso Pantera out on track in the Fly Yellow, driven by Ross Jackson. I can't wait for that.
Certainly, we're just hearing in the background Andrew Madecki going by in his old open-wheeler car that stood in the ship for a number of years, and he's out there in the wet now qualifying. Big welcome back to George Vidovic in the M&O sports cars. Unfortunately, the Can-Am McLaren won't make it out in the rain. His container of equipment's only just arrived back in the country with wets for that car. We've got Group N historic touring cars. Can't wait to see the Minis, the Monaros, the Valiants, the Mustangs, and the big booming Camaros out there as well for the historic touring cars. We've got a Ford-only race on Sunday afternoon. We've got the TT opening up proceedings here today as well. There is everything in between. If you like Brabhams, you like Renmaxes, if you like yourself a Lotus, we've got all of them here. Alphans from wall to wall. We're looking forward to a fantastic weekend of racing, and we'll be back with you from the central commentary position in just a moment. Well, through the magic of TV, we are here in the commentary booth ready to go. Let's get underway with the Equity One VHRR 2025 Historic Sandown. And on the grid is the Apex Steel Tourist Trophy. I'm Darren Smith. I was just talking to you on the screen. Right next to me is none other than Emma Dean. We've already introduced her, but Phil Membry right alongside Phil. And we have got the Tourist Trophy cars already on the grid.
We have, and interesting, at the moment, looks like we've got one missing off the front row there.
Yes, we've got our pole sitter there. No, in fact, we've got our second position. Our pole sitter, Kira Patel, has withdrawn from taking spot on the grid. Michael Russo is on the grid, though. The second row is there with David Bajan and Rob Cracknell in the MGs there. In fact, no, that's Chris Ralph that's moved up an extra spot as well, and there's quite a few gaps on the grid for this. The Apex Steel Tourist Trophy, which is a reenactment of the Moomba race coming back, or not a reenactment, a tribute to the Moomba race held back in the 50s at Albert Park. We are set for a race. Absolutely no mucking around here at the VHRR Historic Sandown. And there it is, like gorillas in the mist. They charge down to turn one.
Yeah, it's a fairly misty sort of a run down to turn one there. I'd prefer to be in that car out the front. Michael Russo leading the way down into turn one here at Sandown. A fairly wet, treacherous track. So we'll be looking to see whether they manage to keep it on the Blackstaff.
Certainly underneath that Penrite bridge there, great supporters of the Penrite 100 Classic at Phillip Island on the 13th and 15th of March next year. And this is our first hit out for the Equity One 2025 Historic Sandown. And it is a very, very wet affair. A timely reminder for everyone that coming to Sandown doesn't mean you have to get wet if it's raining. You can actually sit up in the magnificent grandstand and, yeah, it's whatever the ambient temperature is, but you can rug up, but you don't get wet. So we would certainly implore that if you intend on heading out here, please come and join us, take up your spot in the grandstand. Yes, you're going to need a blanket to stay warm, but certainly there's plenty of food vans. Car clubs have got their cars on display, so plenty to go on. But wow, this is tricky conditions.
don't you have to hand it to David Bagent there and the MG behind? That would be like sitting in a bathtub.
Oh, 100%. Sorry.
Absolutely, Darren. No, you're right, Phil. We were talking off air about this, that the MGs are probably going to fare really well in the wet just because of their size, relative size, and their small-ish horsepower, not to diminish anyone, of course.
And a little bit extra weight as well.
But they will be like a bathtub out there in this rain.
Yeah.
There's little rivers running across all of turn 1, 2 and 3, and then out the back there of Dandenong Road. So they're doing well, but obviously preserving a little bit of power.
Certainly is. This is Chris Ralph. He needs very little introduction to Victorian motorsport in the number 58. You can see him just tucked in behind that aero screen. I bet you he's wishing he put the big full wet weather screen on for this weekend or for today. Interestingly enough, the weather is definitely the talking point around the pit and paddock area. It won't be on Sunday. Tomorrow looks to be a whole lot different. Yes, we are going to be seeing rain, precipitation and showers right throughout today, sweeping the property, and we can see the wet tyres pumping that wet road dry. But certainly some of these cars that have got some good aero effect will be using it very, very nicely. It's about being a little bit braver than normal and trying to push your limits, isn't it?
Did you say something about fluid dynamics? It's very fluid out there on the surface of the track. As I was reminded when a recent trip to the UK, there's no such thing as bad weather. It's just inappropriate clothing.
Yeah, that is true. I'm sitting here in my Historic Sandown polo shirt. But that's because I got very wet before, and it's the only layer that remained dry. Let's get back to this race, though. This is the 64, currently sitting in 5th place, David Bagent, who is a regular competitor on the Trico Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships in the MG and invited British cars. He's also racing within that field this weekend, but certainly enjoying the Apex Steel Tourist Trophy here today. A one-off race, which gives everyone just a little bit more track time. Behind him is the number 17 of Jeff Wright. Good to see Jeff out there. And Hank Zwarteveen as well, another regular on the Victorian motorsports scene. As the number 17, there he is, Jeff Wright, just tips in at the top of the hill. And it's not a tip in like we're used to seeing, is it? It's more of a, I'll show you the corner and we can get through it.
Yeah, empty the bucket as you go around, because I think some of these cars may well need a bilge pump to just clear the water out from the cabin area.
Interestingly enough, Gary Cooper did think of many things, and that little number 17, the Alpha Melalar, I'm pretty sure a bilge pump wasn't one of them. I know it's got a water pump in it, Phil, but a bilge pump I don't think was on Gary's list, although he did do the MS7 and all the MRs, which were open top cars as well, but certainly bilge pump not on the list with your Alpha Melalar out there. A magnificent brand, Australian brand of race cars, and it's one of the highlights for me every time we come to a historic style of event to see that Alpha name still being raced in all sorts of different categories.
That's the thing, Darren. I'm glad you picked up on that, because, I mean, despite the weather, we could keep talking about the weather all day, and we probably will, because it's just so inconvenient for racing. Oh, that was close, wasn't it? But it's so lovely to see these samples out on track. It's just so nice to see these cars out. I mean, a lot of people have these cars. Melbourne is mecca for motorsport and automotive in the southern hemisphere. Sorry, I tripped over my tongue. But we don't see them out. Everyone's preserving them. They're locked away in garages. So I've got to take my hat off to these guys. They've come out. They've known they could see the radar on the forecast. They've come out anywhere, and they're still racing. Now, it's not the racing that we'd all love to see, because obviously they are preserving the cars a wee bit, and it's a bit silly to go flat out today. But my hat's off to them that they're even out there. It's fantastic.
I got to say, out in front at the moment is the 21 of Michael Russo. His best lap time was a 1:52, and that's a fair way off where this category would normally run. But it's not a 2:52, is it? It's still out there having a good go, having a good look at the number 4 here as well of Trevor Ross, who just got out of the way of that Datsun. It got very lively underfoot there in the 61 of John Geest, but John would be very much enjoying that. He caught it, gather it all back up again, and when you look in your mirrors, you've got a purpose-built sports and racing car right behind you with Trevor Ross at the wheel, and that would be a satisfying start to the racing for the weekend, to be able to put that car behind you in your Datsun 2000.
100%. They're a pretty smart little car, and give that a dry track. I think the situation may well be reversed, but you've got to be able to drive in all sorts of conditions, and that's what motor racing brings to the fore.
Just saw Chris Ralph going through there. Chris started out of position number 5 quickly in the opening lap, worked his way up into position 2. He's had to wave goodbye to Michael Russo in the 21 in the Tiga SC84. But certainly has gone, but holding on position number 2 in these tricky conditions. And that lap time I referenced before, the 152.81, was definitely Michael Russo in the Tiga.
Yeah, Darren, I just wanted to reiterate for the viewers, we've got some amazing camera angles here this weekend on the track. So what you're seeing is not an illusion. We do have a lot of standing water on track. Still probably better than most Victorian roads at the moment, Darren, but there's a lot of standing water out there for people that want to go fast in one direction. So it is quite hazardous. What you're seeing is not, your eyes aren't playing jokes on you. That's hard to drive through, and it's hard to drive through at pace, and it's hard to corner in. So these guys are really doing their best out there for how wet it actually is.
Here's our race leader in car number 21. 3.5 minutes remain in this one there, and we get a good shot down the straight, and we're looking straight at Graham Wright there as well in the number 92, and Graham is on board the MG Rayar Special. 2 litre. I was going to say 2,000 litres. That's a fair way short. That might be coming up later on when some of the Can-Am cars come out there, but certainly that is tricky stuff. There's the 92, which we're just referencing there, just tippy-toeing through some of that standing water, and with all the patchwork quilt, which really is Sandown's racing surface these days, you have to have your absolute wits about you. And when they last resurfaced that run down into turn 1, there was the absolute stars of Australian motorsport in the touring car form that were all spearing off down there in the rain, because it is very, very tricky. Our race leader driving up the back straight now, and a little bit of bodywork coming loose on the car there, but continuing onwards. Here's one of those camera spots, and the rain has definitely found its way right onto the lens, hasn't it? There, cuts out the middle section. I think that's the Equity One dot. I think that's to remind us about the sponsors.
I might send you out in a couple of minutes, Darren, to just go over and wipe that clean.
I might write Equity One on the bottom of the screen so it reminds us to do that. Nice. This is nice work. I would suggest this is tough. Right here, right now, this Michael will be certainly enjoying what he's doing, and there we go. Thank you to our cameraman down at Dandenong Road there.
Awesome
we get a clear look, and they're really fighting it out. And I tell you what, it's when it's like this, it's the cameraman that we have to thank, and all those volunteers trackside. Yes, they're wearing orange and fluorescent clothes out there, and fashion is clearly not the point out there at the moment. But thank goodness to those volunteers, they stand true, don't they?
I love the way you can see Mark Rosso's Tiga just dispelling of the water as it comes down the track here. It's going out the front guards and out the rear guards, and it's really just getting as much water away from those tyres as possible.
Yeah, it's actually pulling a really good plume of spray from the back of the car. So aerodynamically, I suspect that car is actually working really quite well.
Absolutely.
And a couple of brave pills, I would suggest, Phil. All of our competitors today, they're going through their warm-up regimes and just getting themselves ready for that. And I would suggest a fair bit of arms outstretched, crossing them over as you're out there every corner, just pouring on opposite lock as we come charging out onto the straight here with Trevor Ross in car number 4. And he's charging down the straight there. So Trevor currently sits in P3, so it's a 35.5 second gap between P1 and P3. Here's Chris Ralph. This is a fantastic effort. And you've got to say, in these conditions, a car that's probably a little bit heavier. Emma touched on it earlier as well. A little bit underpowered. And it's the great leveller. Even the great Jim Richards could be caught in the wet by someone that didn't have as much power as him. Having said that, no one could catch him in the 635 CSI.
Gentleman Jim, he was certainly a man in the wet, and was an excellent steerer. Pays to have webbed feet, I think. That's a beautiful machine rolling around there, and That's young Ross.
You can tell these cars have had to comply with some modern regularities, and the high intensity lights on the back of these cars, which is something that isn't period perfect, but you know, we never used to wear seatbelts and have ABS as well. So just adding some of those features, and these are the conditions that those high intensity lights are designed to work in.
100%. You rely on being able to see in front of you when you're driving on anything, but even more so when you're racing, I think. So the spray that comes up from a car in front is awful, and you've got to remember these guys are racing in helmets. There's no windscreen wipers on those helmets, and when you breathe out, it can fog up quite badly on the inside of your helmet. So there's all sorts of special things. The motorbike guys have got them, of course. The stuff that reduces the tendency for a bit of a haze to come on the inside of the screen.
Ford power on board here for Trevor Ross, says it on the air intake there as we go back to our leader Michael Russo, doing a tremendous job, and coming around for the last lap board has been displayed. So coming around to complete the final lap for the VHRR 2025 Historic Sandown Apex Steel Tourist Trophy. And before anyone asks, yes, Joe Collegia is here today in his Corvette, the Apex Steel Corvette. So fantastic in the Group S. That car will be very tricky with its bulk horsepower that is available to Joe. But right now, this is quite an impressive display, not only by Michael, but this entire field in the Apex Steel Tourist Trophy here today. A one-off race for this particular event.
Yeah.
But they are in race trim anyway, the pioneers. There'll be other drivers making their way over to speak to these drivers and say, hey, we qualified at 10 o'clock this morning. Is it different to then? And they'll be able to say, yes, no, maybe. Find out for yourself.
Same problem, different raindrops.
Yes.
Well, these guys, this is definitely a category of passion, Darren, but I can't imagine any of these guys not wishing they had chosen a tin lid.
Yeah, that's true. Checkered flag for the first race for the weekend, the Apex Steel Tourist Trophy here at Equity One. Sandown International Motor Raceway for the Historic Sandown goes to Michael Russo, and an absolute emphatic victory. It was last time round 36 seconds back to the second car on the road with Chris Ralph. Take nothing away to any one of these other cars that are following Michael through in this one. The exact same conditions greeted every single one of these races, and well, they've all managed to do it safely, and not that we've seen, not that we've caught on the broadcast at all. No one has spun off and made a nuisance of themselves.
Careful. Commentator's curse.
Commentator's curse.
There's still cars finishing. Talking about that, Chris Ralph, welcome home into second place. Chris, what a fantastic run there. Trevor Ross joins him in car number 4, the Ford Power, charging through there, which is a really good reminder for tomorrow's Ford 100-year commemoration race at 1:25, an all Ford affair. Phil, guaranteed a Ford's going to be the winner of that one.
How did you guess?
I've been waiting to use it. As soon as they said they were going to do it, I went, I'm going to run that one by you.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm going to expect a few of those sort of things from you over the weekend, Darren.
John Geist gets home and finishes nicely. Dave Bajan has done a terrific job. Just trying to hark back. Dave started out of 4th, but managed to get home in 5th. The 161 Lee Harbrow is the next one to the line, and we've already had the number 32 Flavio Piccinelli come into the finish there as well. Wright Harbrow has now finished, so that is the field that gets through. There was quite a few that didn't actually front up for the start of this one, so they certainly have done very, very well to get that going. Checkered flag has been rolled up, and there are the finishes. Russo, Ralph, Ross, Geist, Bajan, Wright, White, Harbrow, Pichelli, and Wright getting home there in the end as well. That is the first event for the weekend, guys, and I think everyone did it nicely and didn't have a spin.
Yeah, look, it was really good. And whilst you've been talking, I've thought of an anagram for Ford. Fond of rainy days.
Well, there you go. Yeah, well, it's not going to rain tomorrow, Phil. It's going to be a lovely day here in wedged between Dandenong and Springvale here in the crown of the jewel of Victorian motorsport, Sandown International Motor Raceway. Let's have a quick look at what the rest of today's program looks like. We've got, of course, the Tourist Trophy. Next up is the Regularity out on track. Group S will be after that. Formula Ford, Groups J, K, L, B, Formula V and Invited at 2:20. The Groups M and O Sports and Racing Cars, that's going to be very interesting at 3:20 if it's still wet by then. Groups P, Q and R Racing and Sports and Invited Cars. The Group C and Group A cars out there at 4:10. MG and Invited British cars, the big horsepower MGB GTV8s and Roadsters will be fun there, as will be the historic touring cars. Let's hope by 5 o'clock we've got a dry line from them. And rounding out today's program will be the HQs. I reckon we've deserved a quick break between now and the Regularity. We'll be back with plenty more here at the Equity One Historic Sandown 2024 and a fantastic group of partners. Shannon's Insurance, Penrite, 100 years of Penrite oil, Cool Drive Racer Industries, the MG Car Club for all of their support, Dana Precision, Apex Steel, Photography, the Traction Tyre Centre, NPAVT, and Aussie Soils Autohouse in Moorabbin for all of your automotive story requirements. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Plenty more action on track.
Thanks, Darren. As we all know, sport doesn't go far without sponsors. And I'm down here with the Managing Director and founder of Equity One, Dean Kuntsamides. Dean, welcome to Whitten Raceway.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about Equity One.
So Equity One started about 30 years ago. We've got two personalities. On the one side, we're a fund manager, so we look after investors, retail investors that come to us for fixed interest. So they just want to park some money with us for a year or so and get some interest. So we're a fund manager in that capacity. But the other side is that we're also lending to developers and commercial borrowers secured by first mortgage. So the interest goes from the investors, the funds go from the investors to the borrowers, and obviously the interest flows through to the investors. So we're a mortgage fund, and we've been doing it for, as I mentioned, just under 30 years.
And I noticed that you got the driving suit on it, so you're not only sponsoring the event, but you're also getting out there and getting the adrenaline going a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I've been driving for about 20 odd years, but it's a typical story of getting into business and then getting into driving in later years. I certainly didn't come up from karting or anything like that. However, fell in love with it, like we all do, and then kept going. And I've driven a variety of different things, but predominantly GT cars and prototypes. But at these historic events, I've fallen in love with the historic Formula Fords, and the category is massive. There's about 40 cars. Everyone's super competitive and super friendly, I just love coming back and doing it. But aside from that, Equity One has had a long history in supporting other young drivers in Australia. We've participated sponsoring and supporting some Formula Ford drivers, Formula 3, F4, and even helped debut a couple of drivers do some overseas events in Asia Le Mans and the Le Mans 24. So we've been involved for quite a while. So we thought it only made sense for us to extend the visibility of our brand into the historic racing fraternity, and so that started earlier this year with sponsoring Phillip Island, which I wasn't able to personally attend, but I heard it was fantastic. A lot of our clients participated, and we've also announced that we're the naming rights sponsor for Sandown at the end of the year, and obviously we wanted to participate with this as well. So it gives us a chance to have our brand visible. A lot of our clients, both investors and borrowers, come from the motorsport ecosystem, so it just made sense for us to continue that with these events.
Does that help with all these drivers coming and team members coming to you for advice as well?
No, it doesn't. They do not come to me for, they don't come
financial
to me
advice.
They don't come for driving advice. But look, we might have the occasional chat over a coffee, but it's more just building those relationships, and then the conversations happen when the weekend's over, in other areas.
You said you had been racing other forms of motorsport. What was the attraction of Formula Ford? Was it the size of the engines, the open wheelers? What was it that got you into it?
Look, it's very pure and there's nowhere to hide. I think relative also to the cost, it's not, it is expensive, but it's not uber expensive relative to a whole lot of other categories that you can drive. Particularly, I've come from Australia GT or Fanatec and raced some prototypes overseas, which, that's a little bit of a different game altogether. So when you consider the bang for buck and how competitive the category is, and also how much you learn driving these cars, it's made me a better driver for driving them. So, and it's just fun.
And around here, there'd probably be one of the cars that's really suited to this layout.
It loves this layout. It loves this surface. The hard compound tyre just seems to map really well with the surface, and no, it's good. So obviously we've got a great day today. It's nice and dry and the air's cool, so the cars are going quick. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun to drive these cars anywhere, but particularly here.
Well, go out and have some fun then, Dean.
Indeed, thank you.
And thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks very much.
And now you know, Darren, if you need any financial advice, you know the man to see. He's down here in garage number 20, and he'd be more than willing to talk to you. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Braxy. Great to see that down there with Dean Koutsamides. He's the man at Equity One, and we've got a lot to thank him for here this weekend at the Historic Sandown. Equity One are a great partner, and we really do appreciate everything that they get and do with Australian motorsport. And Dean is racing here in Formula Ford today, a bit of a mid-pack qualifier in earlier qualifying today in the Formula Fords. Check it out at www.equity-1.com.au and have more than just a conversation with them. Give them your business, as we have got Regularity out on track this morning. I had all brand, so I should be right for this one this morning for breakfast. But Phil, there's that green elephant I was chatting to you earlier on today about, the one that I am very, very interested in.
Yeah,
and
I think
certainly
you'll buy
love that car. I don't think I've got the option to anymore. The new owner looks to be having so much fun in it that he won't hand it on.
100%. I just see Scott Ball, the young chap from Camperdown, and a Mini go through there. Scott's a bit of a racer. He's been a scrutineer as well in motorsport, so good to see him out there having a bit of a crack. And I'm not too sure what time he has nominated. Scott Ball has nominated a 2 minutes and 8, I think, is his nominated time. So, yeah, and we've got Formula Vs, we've got HQs, we've got Minis, we've got all sorts of things in this. And what is Regularity about? Well, it's about you nominate a time, and then you drive around and you try to equal that nominated time. There's Scotty Ball on track on the camera at the moment in his Mini, going about to head up the back straight. So we've got car 68, and
That's Kynan Taylor out there, and there you go. There's actually some Hyundai XLs in there, which run in the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championship on a regular basis, and getting some laps in, and that would be pretty comfortable. There's the Mini that we're referencing also as well. There, Nick Jackson in the number 80 white Mini out there as well. So having a bit of a go at it.
and a bit of a family affair for the
Sorry,
Wickets.
not the. Oh. No.
Oh, no. Someone's come to grief. That's the number 8 car of...
I think it's... We don't have an 8. Is that an 81?
Yeah.
An 81.
Raymond
an 81.
Lewis.
An 81, that's the Lupino Monoposto, 1958, Ray Lewis. Red flagged as well, so that has put a fair whack of debris out on the circuit. The number 16 of Darren Fortune. Great to see Darren back out on track, albeit for only sort of half a lap or lap and a half there in the in that menacing-looking HQ. But just drifting past that scene there as well. There's the 120Y. M.
How did I know that was going to happen, Darren?
Oh, my goodness. For all the listeners listening at home that weren't listening to the Winton Festival of Speed, I flipped one of those years ago on a rally track in my defence. But yes, I do love a 120 wire, I did. Thanks for pointing that out, Darren.
Oh, it's almost my go-to now. I'm driving down the Monash Freeway now, and I see a 120Y, and I go, I am.
It should be upside down.
Good to see it all on four paws. It is also good to see Ray walking over to our medical crew there as well, being headed up by Martin Doxey here this weekend. Very experienced medical team, and the Victorian Fire and Rescue Squad, two fantastic volunteer organisations, service organisations, and I tell you what, there is some multitasking going on at that flag point right underneath the Penrite Bridge. We've got a white flag for slow-moving vehicles. We've got a red flag but you're not supposed to be a moving vehicle. You're supposed to be making your way back to the pits. And the double waved yellow, which means the track is substantially blocked. So that is all going there at once. And I think there's only two flaggies on that point actively involved. So that's you've got to coordinate two hands out there as well. And I tell you what, if you want to get involved in motorsport and you haven't got a budget to put a car together, one of the better ways, even if you do have a budget to put a car together and go racing in between events, come and join the volunteer officials. It is a magnificent way to meet people, and as they always say, you cannot get any closer to the action. You do have that, obviously, the first row of defence being a guardrail between you and the action, but they would have seen that incident unfolding with Ray right before it happened, and I've got to say that is going to be a tough old put that back together. The Lupino Monoposto, built in 1958.
Yes, I think the front wheels on that certainly need a little bit more than just a wheel alignment to get those back in the straight and narrow.
We're going to take a quick break trackside here. The tow truck has arrived on scene there, so we're going to be a little while getting this all cleaned back up again, and I would suggest that's the regularity for the first part of today. We'll be back in just a few moments.
I knew she was the one. The heart's going a million miles an hour, the mouth's dry. It's love, mate. Pure and simple. In 71, this was the fastest four-door car in the world. Back then, you could pick one up for a bit over $4,000. Insurance, it's got to be Shannon's.
No one knows your passion like Shannon's. And with our multi-vehicle discount, you can even cover your daily drive. So call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Welcome back trackside here at Sandown International Motor Raceway for Historic Sandown 2025. Hope you're enjoying yourself if you are here at the track. Certainly the grandstand is the best place to be. We have got all of the recovery vehicles making their way back to their positions after we had a nasty off there for the Monoposto in the regularity. So the Lupino Monoposto with Ray Lewis, who was appeared to be okay, walked away from the car, but the Lupino Monoposto did not look very good at all, and looks like there's going to be quite a few weekends getting the Monoposto back together. Very, very sad to see that. We are just waiting now for the Group S cars to make their way around to the grid. Great field of Group S cars, and there's something for everyone right throughout the Group S field. We've got a massive group of very loyal sponsors to thank as well. Apex Steel, of course, they were sponsoring the TT that got things underway for us earlier today. So big thanks to Apex, and we will certainly see Joe Collegia out in the next race, who is the man at Apex Steel, and he'll be coming out of position number 10 for that. Cool Drive Auto Parts, the Penrite Oil organisation, and we certainly thank them for their involvement with the VHRR for what will be called the Penrite 100 Classic at Phillip Island in March next year. So very much looking forward to that event. It'll be the 100 years celebration of the Penrite Oil Company, March 13, 14 and 15. And Margaret Diamond from Penrite has accepted the role as the event patron during the company's 100th anniversary celebration, and really looking forward to getting to Phillip Island. So note that one down, March 13, 14 and 15. The Penrite 100 Classic at Phillip Island. Definitely worth getting yourself trackside for. March at Phillip Island is a beautiful time of the year to see all of the action. Racer Industries, of course, doing a tremendous job supplying our industry. Of course, Equity One, Dana Precision, Photographic, Apex Steels we've mentioned, Traction Tyre Service, NPAVT, Aussie Soils and Auto Haas in Moorabbin for all of your classic and prestige, any sort of vehicles, storage, highly secured storage there in Moorabbin. So check out Auto House in Moorabbin. Our emergency vehicles just making their way back. Of course, they were all scrambled once that incident occurred in the Regularity. Will be making their positions back in the pit lane. You can see on the long shot down from turn one, all of those surface vehicles back in spots, and you can actually see the designation of colours of our volunteer officials. The orange with the reflective tape will normally be trackside officials and flag marshals in wet conditions like this. And then you can see sort of in pit lane and on the grid, the marshals for the grid there. The yellow tops do stand out, but they're certainly not welcome trackside when the race gets going, because you don't want to have a high-vis yellow vest being mistaken for a yellow flag. So as you'll see, the cars come to the grid, those marshals will make their way back off the track. Cars making their way out onto track right now for the first of our Group S races, which there'll be 3 of across the weekend. And here we go. Germany, USA, right across the world, all the finest sports cars you could ever want, and they are making their way out on track.
Oh, Darren, I don't know how good I'm going to be on this call, because that Di Tommaso is just going to distract me the whole way around. It's in the gorgeous original fly yellow that the Pantera came out in. Ross Jackson at the helm there. His son Chris has driven that car, has been known to drive the car on occasion, but Ross was climbing the walls at Winton Festival of Speed because it had been going through a bit of a rebuild after a wee bit of a close conversation with the wall, and so he's got it back on track. It is looking stunning, and when I spoke to him before in the pits, I said, "How are you going, Ross? Is it nice to be back out on track?" And he goes, "I can't use my horsepower. It's way too wet." Even though that thing has tyres the width of most small cars, he still can't put the pedal to the floor this weekend at all, unless the track dries up at some point.
There's the Joe Collegia Apex Steel number 44 Corvette. It looks magic out there on track as well. Really looking forward to seeing him enjoy himself after having an engine issue. And by that, it wasn't in working condition after the Friday at the Winton Festival Speed. So really looking forward to seeing a guy that contributes so much to our sport having a bit of a run this weekend.
Absolutely. And to reiterate again Darren's point from before, yes, it is raining and it is wet down here, but the benefit of Sandown is we've got this massive grandstand that you can come and watch the races from, and you'll be under shelter. And I really do recommend you guys come down and have a look. And I'm completely biased, but Group S, if you walk through the Group S garages, you are going to see some gorgeous cars that should never be museum pieces. They should be out as long as they can be. And that Corvette of Joe Collegia's is just up close and personal, a stunning, stunning car.
Let's have a look at how this grid comes around. It will be on pole position, James Calvert-Jones with a 139 position, obviously done in the wet that time. Great to see the 2 Porsches lock out the front row. Great friend of the commentary booth, Alex Webster, as well in his Porsche out of position number 2. Joseph Di Bertoli in the number 2 car out on track there as well. That's the first of our Chevy Corvettes. Ross Jackson in the Pantera. Terry Lawler, Ray Narkowitz. Then we go back to Mark Johnson, Hung Du in the number 6 Datsun 240Z, and now that is going to be an interesting car in these conditions. It will be a good piece of kit to drive. Mark Johnson is next on the grids. Joe Collegia out of P10 in the 44 Corvette. Hugh Jackson in the number 79 Alfa Romeo, I think that is for Hugh. The GTV. And he will be just inside the top 10. 11th is Scott Farquharson. Tom Wallstab in the number 3 Porsche 928 4.5 litre. That will be an absolute weapon around here, and Tom drives that brilliantly. Richard East back to John Floyd. John Geist, who we saw in the first race of today in the number 61 Datsun 2000. So some of these cars finding their way up through the field as we see Chris Ralph also in there. He's had a good look around. So watch for some of these smaller cars. John DiColo, David Badent's already done 6 laps as well in the first race of the day. Peter Sagletti, Tim Linus, and we go back to Chris Blandon, Patrick Townsend, Rowan Hodge, Phil Powell and Samuel Markovitz there as well. We've got a couple of gaps in the grid there. Phil, not quite picking up on what grid position it was.
No, it wasn't either. I just noticed it looked as if one of those cars may actually be a little bit in front of his grid position.
This is going to be a ripper race. This conditions will suit these Euro cars. Watch the Porsches with their transfer of weight to the back. The big pendulum effect takes off and away they go. Everybody just walks themselves nicely off the grid as we just have a bit of a look at Ray Narkowitz. He gets a very tricky one off the line there.
Oh, who squeezed that little MG in there?
There was an MG that was squeezed up against the fence post like Vegemite, but managed to get through there quite rapid off the start line as the Porsches just clear out down into turn 1, followed by everybody else as we watch on our screen here. We've got MGs, Datsun 2000, Datsun 240Zs, Corvettes. We've got the whole shooting match out there, and a beautiful little Alpha.
There's plenty of Alphas out there as well. James Calvert-Jones gets away very nicely, but totally monstered into turn 1 by Alex Webster. He just tickled it up through the gearbox in his Porsche and drove down to turn 1, grabbed himself a very, very handy lead early on in this one. There goes Tim Linus in the 928 there as well, just starting out of position number 20. So a great field of cars here as they all stream their way up through turn 5, the top of the hill. There goes Darkwitz in the Corvette. And, of course, Ross Jackson tips it in the very bright yellow. Gee, I tell you what, in these dark skies, the yellow really jumps out at you, doesn't it?
It does, and you just about need something to jump out at you on this track because it's going to be a bit difficult to see, particularly down the fast parts of the straights with the spray coming off the vehicles in front.
Well, it was a bit reminiscent then of the generation of the cars coming down the back straight there. It was a little bit Le Mans-ish in the rain, which I really liked. But that seeing these guys come through the apex of turn 2 there, Darren, there's a little mini Lake Eildon there that they're going to have to avoid, which is a bit nasty. There's a lot of standing water there at turn 2.
Certainly is, and well, we have a little mini Lake Eildon right in the middle of the property here at the Lake Sandown here this weekend. Very nicely topped up indeed. One of the things you touched on, Em, that I really do like about Group S racing, particularly with these flat 6 Porsches and the V8s in behind them, is it is very much a Le Mans soundtrack. The drone of the flat 6 and then the V8s chasing them down. The flat 6 Porsche was, the class battle for so many years has been between flat 6 Porsches, and at the moment Alex Webster has got his magnificent Porsche just absolutely hooked up, and he is driving that Carrera 2.7 brilliantly. But I tell you what, the guy that was on pole, and he was on pole by just under 2 seconds, so he's fast in the wet. He's starting to climb back onto the back of Alex. Alex was the clever one. He just walked the car off the line.
Absolutely, Darren. And honestly, Alex's car is such a beautiful example of the 2.7. It's such a beautiful Porsche, and they're so suited to this weather and these conditions. Even the older Porsches, the cold air they'll be loving going through the intakes, and the displacement on them and the way these cars handle is just perfect for the wet too. So love to see these guys. They'll probably be able to go a little bit harder than the other guys that are straight line power and high horsepower. But just love seeing the whole category out there.
Ooh, gee, that got loose on that little bit of water across the track there. One of the things I'm just watching Alex on here at the moment is he is absolutely not afraid of driving onto the ripple strips as well, and that's almost a no-no in wet conditions. But he just, on the run down to Dandenong Road, just went across the ripple strip, guided it well, pointed it at it. No, there was none of this soaring away at the wheel. He just pointed it at the corner and rode the ripple strips. Let's see as they come down to turn 1. This is a very tricky braking zone in the wet.
Now Webster comes right out to the edge of the track there to maximise the straight line effect of getting through that corner. didn't really pay out for him through the corner because Jones just caught right up on him coming through there, and he didn't take the narrow line. So has he got a better set of brakes under that car?
Talking about the water, there's a lot of standing water down there at turn 2, and these two Porsches just ease the way through. It's always the clever way. Keep the steering wheel straight as you possibly can. Stay in the loud pedal for as long as you can, but just be prepared to catch it if it sneaks out from you. Last time around 0.9 of a second between these two Porsches. Then we go back to Bartolo there as well. Joseph Bartolo in car number 2, which is the first of the Chevy Corvettes, 5.7 litres. So imagine that juggling act that's going on in there between throttle and steering wheel as we get a good look now, and this will be the same juggling act going on with this crowd here as well. That's Ray Narquitz.
Yeah, the amount of power in those Chevys, you'd be really ginger on the accelerator pedal. It would be... I think I'd want an accelerator pedal with about 3 foot of movement from full on to full off. But I'm just taking a note there on the timing screen. Jones has actually got the fastest lap time there, not by a great deal, but 1 minute 41. No, Webster took it, and then Jones took it straight back. So consistently, Jones is just that little bit quicker on his lap times.
I'm kind of just silently wishing these guys had fluoro gloves on so we could see what was going on with the steering wheel at the moment.
Yeah, we need in-car footage, don't we, Anne?
Yeah. No, Alex and James are completely just owning this race with those two Porsches up front. I love seeing this. I mean, completely biased, Darren and Phil, but just love seeing it, and I love seeing them go for it in the wet too. Look at that.
Yeah, we hadn't noticed your bias at all, Em.
And I tell you what, though, these guys are rewarding that at the moment. The drivers of car 7 and 40, Webster and Jones, are just getting a class above. They obviously sat on the front row of the grid, and in any wet conditions like this, if you've got the car out in front in the clear air, you're at a distinct advantage. As we see the Philip Powell 308 coming down the road, just getting through on some of the slower cars there. Looked like an Austin Healey just being disposed with by Alex up the straight. That's the best way to get rid of some of these lap cars. I'm not too sure who was in the Healey, but that would be Pat Townsend out there, and Pete Sagletti in the Ferrari 308 GT4. And boy, that's a synonymous shape with Ferrari out of that era, isn't it?
Yeah, the beautiful car, and good. Oh, here we go. 58 has decided to see if he can drive backwards up the track.
So that's Chris Ralph. He came second in the Tourist Trophy not 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 45 minutes ago. So he's getting confident. He's found a little bit of edge, got up on that painted ripple strip.
Yeah, he's got to be careful here because he's a bit unseen as he's trying to get the car around and clear the track. Manages to get himself out of way and back underway where green flags are going down there. So that's an exciting little manoeuvre for him there.
I tell you what, this traffic has been used very nicely by Alex in the number 7 car. The Calvert Jones car has certainly been the fastest car on track, and it's just that I've said it 3 times now. It's just that Alex walked the car off the line and managed to get himself a 2-second gap by turn 4. And James is managing to chip away at it by doing the faster laps. But, wow, it's a tough gig to try and get past in this sort of weather. And Alex caught the first of those back markers in a straight line. So that's always very handy.
Yeah,
So both Alex and James are both using the inside of turn 3 as a little bit of a guard wash.
Yep.
And they're both chewing up the chicanes as well, the ripple strips, I should say. So, I mean, that's a Porsche thing. I mean, most people that drive Porsches will be using those ripple strips. They've got no problem getting it onto 2 wheels. It'll hunker right down, slaps the kidneys around a little bit, but, you know, it's just these guys are just used to doing that kind of style driving, and it's working, whether it's dry or wet.
How lucky is Alex Webster? He races Porsches on weekends and then works with them during the week.
Yeah, I'm slightly jealous of the guy, to be honest. He's always got a brand new car.
Life doesn't just happen like that. You've got to work hard for that, and Alex embodies that work ethic. So let's have a bit of a look back down through the field, and here we go. Here is the cars that are currently just inside the top 20. That's Blandon and Tim Linus in the 928. And our race leaders are now starting to catch up onto those guys as well, with only just under 2 minutes remaining in this one. Oh, there's the
here we
replay.
go. 50,
The Equity One replay, and Chris Ralph provides it for us. So that's Chris Ralph who came second. Decision right there to go around that way, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It's always a worry when you've got someone that's rotating in front of you. Where do I go? And when they're rolling backwards, it's...
And to be honest, on screen, that didn't look like a highly risky incident, but on-screen racing is always a hell of a lot slower looking on TV. So that would have been a new jocks moment for both of the guys in the Alphas.
Yeah, there's a point there where excitement overtakes something else.
Getting a good look at John Del Callo there as well in the 56 Datsun 240Z. So I mentioned at the start the Euros and the North American cars, but certainly some of the Japanese cars have done very well. As I mentioned, Hung Du, he qualified in car number 6 in position number 8, and that's a 240Z Datsun. And that was car 6. We're getting just a bit of a look back through the field now because our leaders are starting to charge on through. Those trees moving around like that, that's artificial, that's AI. The trees, it's actually sun out there at the moment. You've got to be careful, kids. This AI will bring you unstuck.
Yeah, right, Darren.
Checkered flag has just been waved and it's been dropped a tad early. But I tell you what, Alex Webster will have greeted that with a smile on his face. James Calvert-Jones, maybe not so much because, again, he was just ticking the boxes. So the first 5 laps of this race, James Calvert-Jones was the fastest car on track, so he was only improving. And I've got to say that at the moment, the spray from the cars has diminished quite a bit, so we have not actually got rain falling right now.
Try and tell that to the drivers out there, Darren. I think they reckon it's just the same.
James Bartello comes home in position number 3 there, so that is our podium. Alex Webster and James Calvert-Jones. I got to say, Alex won that in the first 200 metres of that race. He just got a brilliant start, drove away nicely. James Calvert-Jones was certainly the fastest car on tracks. James Bartello, Ross Jackson home in position number 4. He is. Joe Collegia, good drive there by Joe. Started out at 10th, and he has muscled that behemoth. Car number 44 home into position number 5. That probably wouldn't have been a bet I would have taken, Phil.
No, me either. He's a very good car and he's a very good driver, but boy, in these conditions, that's a tough package to drive.
Terry Lawler in the Shelby American GT 350. Don't call it a Mustang. It is a Shelby GT 350. I've been warned about that one, so that's a good drive home into 6th. Then it's Johnson, the 79, Hugh Harrison, who started out at 9th, finishes in 8th. Hung Du's gone back 1 spot in his Datsun. Rain Arkwitz is the next of the Corvettes home. Then it's in the Stingray style of Corvette. Then it's Geist, John Geist, who did very well in the Tourist Trophy earlier on today. Floyd and Farquharson rounding out that top 15 cars for the Group S's on track now. Looking forward to plenty more Group S racing tomorrow. What time are the Group S cars on track tomorrow?
9:35 tomorrow and at 2:10 p.m. again.
So if you liked the cars on track, as we just see the 56 motoring around there to on the final lap of John Del Callo, South Australian. So a very big welcome to a very blustery and wet Sandown International Motor Raceway. Yes, it is the home of horsepower, but very gingerly applied today.
Very gingerly applied, and you can come and sit in the grandstand and enjoy these things that are wandering around the track.
We'll take a quick break, and we have got plenty more motor racing coming for you. Formula Fords, the open wheelers, will be on track next.
I think it's a sense of community, a sense of purpose, of belonging, and a sense of pride.
Beaming smile and the happiness, it just makes it worthwhile.
We pride ourselves on running great track days, but this is the event that we love the most.
When I was a kid, I loved cars.
I've been a motoring enthusiast all my life. My life is hot rods, designing them, building them and racing.
Hand-built with a stainless steel roof.
It won the Monte Carlo Rally 4 times. Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man.
In 71, this was the fastest four-door car in the world.
Insurance? Shannon's, of course.
As I said before, if you're watching on at home, you've got to be very careful in this modern age of artificial intelligence. It's actually a beautiful sunny day here in at Sandown. And no, it's not a great day. I was going to say it's beautiful sunshine here. Trackside, come out and join us. But it is certainly a magnificent racing facility here. The grandstand is dry, so we can still fit lots of people up in that grandstand. It is a magnificent place to watch. You can see the entire track from the grandstand, so it is absolutely well worth making your way out to the track. Interestingly enough, one of our commentators for this weekend is also a competitor, and a competitor in the cars we're about to see go out on track. Welcome Tom Reed, who we see as part of the commentary team for the Trico Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships, and also for the also for the Winton Festival Speed. Welcome, Tom. Tell us about the track, mate. You've been out there in the Regularity.
Thanks, Darren. Yeah, it's wet. Very, very wet. Lots of standing water, a river between turn 1 and 2, and standing water all around the curb. So it'll be pretty tricky for all 20 drivers out there. We won't have Nick McBride, unfortunately. He was set to start off P2, but had a prior commitment that he made him unable to attend. So we'll see him tomorrow come off the rear grid. Evan Farrell also off the rear grid. He had a battery
I do hope that you approached Nick and said, I've got my driving suit. I can. I'm about the same height as you, mate. I can slot in.
Not quite. No, I didn't realise he was not going to take part in this race until I got to the dummy grid and his car wasn't there. But unfortunately, that'll mean he has to come from the back tomorrow, which he's very capable of doing.
Certainly, if any Winton Festival of Speed Formula Ford races was anything to go by, that statement is very, very true indeed. Cars are on track. Just give us a bit of a look through this field, Tom.
Yes, so off pole is Alex Davison in his dad's RF89 Van Diemen, his dad being Richard Davison. Alongside him, well, he will be on the second row, is Jack Clifford in car number 33. Then we go to Declan Food, Jared Hurst, Tabitha Ambrose in car 63 there, the Blanchard-owned white RF86 Van Diemen. Then we go to Will Faulkner, Andrew McGuinness in the ex-Russell Ingall 89 Van Diemen, Grant Walker in the only FB84 Swift. And then moving back through, we've got the South Australian of Sean Turnbull doing a great job there. He will line off of P10, Koutsamides behind him. Marinon sharing a row there with Koutsamides, and we go to Jacob Wingett, who also is a fellow Regularity competitor and has done a fair few laps this weekend. Eric Bellamy, and then Andrew Barron, Luke Warwick, Craig Degatati, Greg Miles, Warwick Folletta, Ben Rawson and Evan Farrell will come off rear grid there.
Really healthy field of Formula Fords, 22 cars out there, and certainly representing across those eras, FA, FCFD, etc. For those boffins at home that like to allocate the cars in their correct categories. But certainly very, very interesting to see the Davison name across a couple of these cars. Of course, Alex, famously international professional driver, driven for works teams like Porsche. So not surprised to see Alex in the Van Diemen sitting in position number 1. The RF89, a very, very nice car indeed, and that's been shared with a number of others, Dean Koutsamides and of course Andrew McGuinness. And this is something quite interesting. Andrew McGuinness in car number 2, position number 8. I reckon that's probably one of Andrew's not best qualifying down there in that these tricky conditions. Obviously he's an exceptional racer, has got a number of magnificent racing cars in his shed, comes from a magnificent pedigree as well. But I'm going to keep an eye on car number 2 to see how he can push through the field.
Yeah, hopefully he will be able to charge through the field. Very experienced, like you said. A big point here at the start of this race will be how they get these cars off the line. Some will elect to start in first gear, some even starting in second gear with a really low amount of revs. It's like driving off the line at Dandenong Road.
Just that going down the shops to pick up a loaf of bread or a litre of milk. So the front row of the grid will have Davison on it, not for the first time here at the home of horsepower. Have we got a Davison on the front row of the grid? Great to see Alex back in having some racing there as well. This car certainly the pride of joy within the racing family that is the Davisons. Of course, Tom just touched on his father, Richard, multiple in recent times Victorian Kent engine Formula Ford champion, and should be respected. But doing a great job there. I'm going to keep an eye on that car number 2. Tabitha Ambrose in the number 63, which is on row 3. So, yes, that is the daughter of multiple Australian Touring Car champion and Australian Formula Ford champion Marcus Ambrose as they get away very nicely indeed. Jack Clifford, what an absolute ripper. He has just rolled it off row 2, just like Tom Reed said. Just get the car moving. Once you've got it moving, grab a cog and get on with it.
Tabitha Ambrose had a great first conversion there, but something happened and she couldn't get to second or third gear across the gate, and it bogged down massively. But a great start there from Clifford, who's just behind your race leader. Look at Will Faulkner there, already in the yellow car up to P number 3. He was having a massive moment through turn 1, and there goes Tabitha, dropped a heap of spots back through the field. She's battling with Grant Walker and Koutsamides, who goes for a spin. And everyone seems to be able to get through cleanly through the river there on the exit of turn 1. Hopefully Dean's car isn't bogged and we can continue on with racing as he just gets out.
Well done.
Grass.
Perfect, Dean. Great to see that. Gets himself back up and running there in the Van Diemen RF89. Great to see Sean Turnbull. As much as Tabitha went backwards, Sean went forwards in his number 66. So we'll see where Sean turns out. That's the RF86, one of my favourites of the Ralph Furman range of Van Diemens. But they look very, very well indeed. Gee, that's some tough vision.
Incredibly, it's tough. If you've got a visor that's not non-anti-fog, it'll be incredibly hard to see there, as Will Faulkner, I think, may have dropped back to P5 here of Jared Hurst and Declan Fu going through on him.
There's McGuinness too. He's made up a couple of spots as well. So Andrew's flicked the visor down and gone, I have to make up some time.
Ambrose up the inside there. I think of Sean Turnbull getting that move done at Dandenong Road. Yes, got that move done, so moves herself back up a few spots here. Now Jared Hurst trying to latch back onto Declan Fu. Just look how slow and sideways they are out of the last corner. There is absolutely no grip there.
Coming across the line for the first time, Davison to Clifford. And we've got Declan Fu. So 1, 2 and 3, that's pretty much how they started, but it was 1, 3 and 4 because Nick McBride not taking his spot on the grid. Faulkner, Andrew McGuinness, he started out of 8th and has gone up into 6th. So slowly and steadily he'll start to try and tick those boxes there. The 95 now just gingerly getting through turn number 1.
Jared Hurst with a huge moment. Sorry, Darren, to cut you off, but a huge slide out of
why.
1.
I see why.
And yeah, Will Faulkner had eyes full of a red car in front of him. But through turn 4, again, an incredibly slippery part of the track here. Sandown is a very slippery track in the wet, probably the worst in Australia, I've been told. Through the kink, you've got to be a little ginger on the throttle through here, as there is a river that runs just across it after the exit. McGuinness through on shot there, but I think there could be a move coming from either Will Faulkner or Jared Hurst. They're side by side up the top, and Will just backs out of that one.
Line astern with each other across the top of the famous hill here at Sandown. Up on the ripple strips for the 42, so Jared Hurst is absolutely on it, taking some of those 1% chances. I'm not sure, Tom, when you were out there in the regularity, if you got a chance to get a bit of wheel spin on any of the ripple strips or not. Yeah, pretty slippery.
It was good fun. I actually enjoyed myself a lot getting the car sideways through a couple of corners, but nothing too risky, of course.
Well, it's not your car, mate. You've got to bring it back all in one piece, don't you? Which you've done a tremendous job of over the last couple of events. I've got to say, the Acuri Australia team have, with their junior program, selected one of the good ones, and that's you, Tom.
Thanks, Darren. That's nice of you to say. Across the line we go, though, and we are starting our second lap. The best lap there set by Alex Davison. First lap in real anger of a 1 minute 40.2. He's well and truly clear of everyone else. Jack Clifford 3 seconds behind him. A move here from Will Faulkner. No, still thinks better about it, but the lap previous, car 42 on shot, had a huge moment out of turn 1, and he seems to have corrected that mistake up the short run to turn 2 where the river runs across, and there's a heaps of standing water. So I think Faulkner may have gone off, but I think he's kept it on just. Have a look at the spray. His suit will be drenched after this.
You know, it's still got to be a month or two before you put the sprinkler on in the front yard and run through it to keep warm, isn't it? He's just done a bit of a Melbourne in late January, sprinkled himself through that puddle there, but great catch there by Will Faulkner. He had to have a bit of a look, and he's going to have to keep having a little bit of a look at Jared Hurst to try and grab that spot back, because we're talking about fourth in this one. At the moment, it is Alex Davison who's got away. He's got a good 6.5 second lead over Jack Clifford, who started out of position number 3. Then it's a good 3 seconds back to Declan Fu, and then we go back to this battle. And I've got to say, at the moment, Will Faulkner is getting a face full of spray. He's getting buckets of water come over the side pods through the radiators into his lap at the moment, but not really making any mistakes. You know, there's a couple of little indiscretions here and there, a little bit of a movement there with the water that sort of comes across the track there, but at the moment he is absolutely working very hard, is Will Faulkner.
I was just about to comment on the different lines out of the last corner. It's evident there with Will Faulkner, who chose to sort of run the go-kart line around the outside where there's less slimy, less rubber down, so more grip on that more abrasive surface, and hopefully he can get this move down into turn 1. Just behind these guys is the battle between Ambrose and Evan Farrell, who's made his way all the way up to position number 8, starting off the rear of the grid in just 3 racing laps.
Well, he gets through the 95. Will Faulkner, he kept showing the nose this lap. 1 lap ago was where he went wide on 42 of Jared Hurst, cracks it sideways. They're both suffering from the same bit of understeer at that corner. Although last lap around the 95 emptied that puddle all into his own lap, but not sure what, didn't see that yellow flag.
Yellow car off in the background, can't quite pick out who that is. There are a few yellow cars in the field. Maybe one of the 86 Van Diemen's further back on, but this battle is still fierce between Jared Hurst and Will Faulkner. Up the back straight they go. Who's going to be the bravest over the top? It's a very risky move to pull off in the dry, let alone the wet, and Hurst goes sailing around the outside and gets that move done for now, as Faulkner has to cut across the new runoff area there down in the S's.
Phil Marinon has gone to the pits now as well, so the category administrator heads pit bound, and he'll take the Galloway back into the pit and paddock area. But this is the absolute battle of the race here at the moment. Number of position changes for fourth for these two, Faulkner and Hurst. At the moment, it is the 42 of Hurst leading the way, and the 95 just leaving black marks on the ripple strips out there. Worked for him 2 laps ago, got a great run onto the straight, but I'm going to say that's just going to hand an extra sort of quarter of a second to Jared as they come up the straight here. There is Fu in the number 88 car with the red stripe over the black-bodied car, and continues on up through there in the number 88 Van Diemen RF 88. I see what he's done there, the RF88, number 88. Whoa! Getting very loose under foot there, and in fact it's so good with this coverage that we're getting out of the Victorian Historic Racing Register Equity One broadcast here today. Just seeing these drivers and their hands just ease up. Sometimes the little snap up, but a lot of the time it's just a simple fluid wheel input.
You don't want to be too rigid with your movements in these conditions, as it can send you off, especially if you lock a rear brake. And down the hill where these guys are about to come up to is probably one of the biggest risk-taking areas of the circuit. I saw further back in the shot there's, wow, a massive moment for Will Faulkner. I don't know how he saved that. It's still not done yet because he's got to gather it up down the S's here, but luckily he's got that extra runoff area.
Wow,
that was a huge moment.
Last lap around, he was pretty excited off to the driver's right there as well, but that one started 150 metres before he turned left at the top of the hill. Massive catch there. That is some awesome wheel work. Well done to Will Faulkner. let's see if he can just gather it all up. Still 2.5 minutes plus a lap left in this one, so he's plenty of time to get the mind back on it, doesn't he? He's not dwelling in the past, is he? He's certainly getting on with it.
I reckon he's having a lot of fun out there in these conditions, sliding the car around. Back on shot here, a couple of the back markers, car 35 of Warwick Folletta and Andrew Barron there just behind. He's come back for his first race meeting in a number of years there.
This Warwick Folletta car is an interesting one as well. That's a Van Diemen VD77, a different iteration on the Van Diemen outfit. And he's just run wide there and pushing through the 33, which is our current second car in this race. So putting a lap down as they just get out of that slippery turn 4, and up we go. Have a look at that spray. That static camera right trackside there is giving us some decent old shots. Here comes car number 2 on the road. This is Jack Clifford, and there goes our race leader, and that is Alex Davison. Where's Alex? Coming out of Dandenong Road there as well in the all-black Van Diemen.
He's lapped all the way up to position number 13, so driving through the field and some here as he comes around the final corner. Just look how straight and composed this car is. Easy throttle inputs, easy steering inputs, and he's just driving away from the rest of the field. Last time by he had a 13.5 second gap, and we're still waiting to see a second place runner of Jack Clifford come out of the final corner. He pops onto shot just then, and we'll cross the timing line sideways, and that gap is out to 15 seconds. So another 2 seconds gain there by Alex Davison, who's cruising to a race victory. Just got to get by a couple of lap cars here of Sean Turnbull and Eric Bellamy, which may prove a little difficult for him. Eric hopping out of the road nicely there. Next will be Sean Turnbull, and then he'll have a clear track to the finish line.
As a pro would do, just shows the nose, fully intention to have a go at the next corner there. That is the difference between a race leader and a top 20 finisher. Phil Marinon definitely out now, back in the pits as well. Just having a bit of a quick look down. Tabitha Ambrose into 7. She went down to 9th, so she's had a couple of manoeuvres. Andrew McGuinness, as we suggested, started out of 8th, has made his way to 6th. So as far as the Victorian Historic Racing Register Formula Ford Championships are concerned, he does need to start to push very, very hard in that, because whilst Nick McBride's not here, and Nick had an amazing Winton Festival of Speed as far as results were concerned, Andrew McGuinness really does need to consolidate in the FC class of Formula Fords.
Just a thumbs up there from fellow teammate, not Richard Davison, Alex Davison, to Luke Warwick in the beautifully prepared Ellery Motorsport Swift. But here he comes out of the final corner. The race 1 victory goes to...
last lap. We're going on here.
Sorry. I got a bit ahead of myself.
Last lap.
He's done such a good job.
He has done
already.
You're wrapping him up. Give him a Christmas present.
I hope I don't put the curse on him on this last lap. He looks incredibly
I think he's doing
smooth.
all right. Yeah. He doesn't. You don't get picked by the guys at Weizach to drive Porsches around the world for no reason. A very particular supercar career as well. A very valued co-driver over many, many years has been Alex Davison, and a very, very safe set of hands in Richard's car. And I believe this car was actually a bit of a stealth restoration and gifted to Richard with Ellery Motorsport. No, not this one.
Different car. That was his original Hawk, I believe, that was given to Richard Davison. He had no idea about it, turned up to a test day at Phillip Island, and it was unveiled to him, and he couldn't believe the effort and the presentation of the car.
So, of course, this is the Van Diemen, and we are on our last lap. This is our race leader. Very, very healthy lead, charging through the mist.
Acknowledging the yellow flags there over the top, so perhaps a car spun or stopped somewhere in this part of the circuit. So he backs off nicely, runs the curb down Dandenong Road through the S's, turns left here, and the green flags were waving there, so it's free to race and pass any lap cars, but there's nothing in front of him.
Something for a young driver like yourself, Tom. Have you noticed his car placement on track this last lap? We've watched him. He's just been driving all but down the middle of the road. The only ripple strip he hit was that run down into Dandenong Road, but he's just keeping himself very, very nicely. If the road has a crown, he's sitting in the middle of the road, and this is the difference. This is a guy that has made his living out of doing this sort of thing, and he takes race 1 for the weekend, and the Equity 1 1 Formula Ford race. And just saying Equity 1, where is Dean Koutsamidas? He is 13th. Dean started out of 11th, so he's gone back a couple of spots there. But congratulations to Alex Davison.
Second will be Jack Clifford, and he's a further 19.5 seconds off your race winner, Alex Davison, who just dominated that race. Coming across the line in the background there is Declan Fu, passing a lap car, so well done to him, finishing in position number 3 in car 88. And then we move further back through the field. Here comes Jared Hurst to take P4. Shortly behind him will be Will Faulkner if he's kept it on the road in the yellow car. There he comes through shot. Then back to Andrew McGuinness in car 2, who will be hoping maybe for some dry conditions tomorrow to drive through to a podium spot potentially. Just waiting for him to come back through the top of screen there, and there comes car number 2, the 89 Van Diemen of Andrew McGuinness. Just behind him is Tabitha Ambrose in her debut race in the historic Formula Ford class. That is a John Blanchard-owned RF86 Van Diemen. Adam Macro is here this weekend, swinging spanners on that car and making sure it is as fast as it can be. Just waiting for a few more cars that still on the lead lap. Evan Farrell and Grant Walker coming through the shot now, and a drag race to the line, but give it to Evan Farrell. He gets position number 8 and 9, goes to Grant Walker. Rounding out the top 10 is Luke Warwick in that Swift. So I think that's about it for Formula Ford. Not too many cars to cross the line, mostly lap cars. Ben Rawson coming home in P17, Jacob Wingett in 18th, Phil Marinon, like you said, a DNF in the pit lane. And we've got a replay coming up here of a fairly ballsy move over the top, up the back straight. Just
interesting to see all these cars getting through. There's only really a couple of little indiscretions there. Very, very tricky conditions.
Moment. I hope he's got a bit of room down the back end of his seat there, because he might have filled it, I reckon.
I reckon. Good stuff there by both Will Faulkner and Jared Hurst for that race. Massively entertaining. Tom Reed, thank you very much for all of your expert comments, mate. You're not back on track until tomorrow morning at 9:10 for the regularity, and Formula Ford's back on track at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Thanks, Darren. See you then.
Awesome. We're going to take a quick break trackside as we're about to go to Groups J, K, LB, Formula Ford and invited cars on track in just a couple of moments. Back soon.
Good, but scary.
I think it's a sense of community, a sense of purpose, of belonging, and a sense of pride.
Beaming smile and the happiness, it just makes it worthwhile.
We pride ourselves on running great track days, but this is the event that we love the most.
Welcome back trackside here for the Victorian Historic Racing Register. 33rd running, can you believe it, of Historic Sandown here 2025. The home of horsepower, and we are proving that right throughout this weekend. In fact, Phil, memory, the catchphrase has been returning the thunder.
Wow.
Wow, exactly.
And Connor, this is
a warm-up lap. That's how you warm it up.
Connor Ryan is drifting this car. He's just out there having a ball already.
Yes, so. And it is the Demet Fueling Special from 1956. 4.4 litres on board there, and it is absolutely being driven like it's something from 2024.
Yeah, he's a bit of a demon behind the wheel, as Connor Ryan. Certainly doesn't mind giving it a bit of right foot and opposite lock. Quite a good car.
Groups JK and LB, Formula V and invited. This is their first race for the weekend. Like everyone, 3 races across the weekend and just some amazing pieces of equipment making their way out on track now, as I've just touched on, with Connor Ryan out of position number 1 in the 77 Demet Fueling Special. Chris Jackson is on the front row of the grid there as well with car number 80, and that is the Avanti Formula V from 1984 out of a Group VB. Then it is Josh Lowing in the number 85 there as well. Josh in the Elfin 500. Magnificent piece of kit from 1966. Brendan Sala is next in car number 4, and that is the Melmark Elfin Type 500. As I mentioned in opening remarks, Phil, there is lots of Elfins, and every time we go historic racing, they get brought out, and thank goodness they do.
Yeah, 100%. And look, the Formula V is just a great category. Been around for 70-odd years, Darren.
Yes, it has. Peter George is next on the grid. Then we have William Saylor, or Bill to his friends, in car number 12, and that is the Melmark Elfin Type 500 there as well. That's in the red and blue as opposed to the blue, yellow and red version just up the road there. Lee Ball in the number 81. Lee Ball, the Tube Frames Nimbus Formula V out of 1976. You know a bit about these guys.
Well, that car's for sale, Darren. You could go and buy yourself a Formula V.
How has it not been snapped up?
Well, it's owned by Bill Roberts, or Harold, as he's known to his friends, and he's a great guy. But Lee Ball driving that car this weekend, he'll have a great time. And so we saw some of these cars, or I saw some of these cars last weekend down at Baskerville, down in Tasmania. David Reed in the faux pas. He was quite quick down there. It looks like he's a little bit slower in these wet conditions, and I do not blame him one bit.
Cars making their way to the grid. Raymond Sprague next to Graham Raper. Pacelli in the 32, Paul Doherty, Abby Wingett, the 23, who we did our opening remarks to down there in the pit lane, Louise Raper in the number 41, George Reed Ford Special SoCal, a very, very famous car. Revs rise, and we get underway. There is no one walking off the grid there. In fact, they are absolutely wide open throttle. And I guess when you've got 1200 cc of raging Formula V behind you, Connor Ryan.
But look at Graham Raper. He's just coming down the outside. He's passing everybody coming down. I think he's going to be into second spot. But he certainly is into second spot before they get down to the end. Connor Ryan drifting the car sideways. Beautiful control as he slides the car through there, wrestling the car absolutely magnificently. Hand out of the cockpit to play around with the gear stick.
Look at the understeer.
And it's understeer. It's drenching him. He's sliding the car. He's just having an absolute ball, and you can see him there adjusting a lever on the outside of the car. I assume that that's probably, well, it could be the gear stick, it might be a handbrake. I don't know.
Let's hand the Bravery Award to Chris Jackson in turn 2, sticking it up the inside of Graham Raper in the Formula V. But Raper sent the memo early this morning, and he warned everyone up the road from him out of P2. So if you had an 8, 6, 4 or 2, I'm coming through. Sure enough,
he did.
Everyone read the memo. And, he just went straight up the yellow line there as we see Connor Ryan driving away for it. And there's Graham trying to just close that gap. I guess this is going to be the part of the field that is going to be very exciting as these Formula Vs all start to line astern with each other. There we go. Great shot of Formula V racing.
Great shot. And Formula Vs, look, you haven't got much horsepower, you haven't got much brakes, but they're surprisingly fast. Their lap times, given that they're 38, maybe 40 horsepower, is quite respectable.
Peter George started out of position number 5. He looks as though he's gone back a couple of spots off the start there. There really was a good lot of competitors. Josh Lowing, the 2 Salas, and Peter went backwards, sadly. Started out of 50s, just back down a little bit further than that now. But Ross McLaughlin in the number 99 Melmark Elfin there as well, out of 1971. And they all stream across the line, getting a very much a face full of spray from Graham Raper. Connor Ryan, he tipped it in 3 postcards ago.
Look, it's as if he's driving a sprint car at the Speedway. He just tips it in sideways and drives it around the corner.
If you hadn't seen these cars previously at Historic Racing, you might have said that looks like a Speedway car.
Yeah, but it's not. And Graham Raper he's no slouch either, and certainly pedals this car very quickly. He was nice and quick down at Baskerville last weekend, having an outage here, and there's a Formula
Chris
V.
Jackson looks up the
able to
inside.
just power up the inside. Great move.
He did that in the last lap around as well. This is where the big beast with all the horsepower comes undone, doesn't it? It just disappears into wheel spin. We take the shot, the static shot as they head up the back straight. Will the Graham Raper piloted outfit get through? And that is the George Reed Ford Special 4.5 litre. And yes, it does. In the end here at the aptly named home of horsepower, that is where it all comes down, doesn't it? Lick the stamp and send it.
Yeah, I think he's getting somewhere around the 300 horse. I'm not really sure on that with Graham's car, but they're the little 40 horsepower Formula Vs are all over the back of him.
What an absolute gaggle of Formula Vs there. And they are all gathered up, and Brendan Sala's just gone back a spot or two there as well. Sala came out of 6th last lap around, so probably just finding water finding its level. I don't really want to say that. that just came out.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, everyone. But I guess it's the same as lick a stamp and send it. You've got to be of a certain vintage to understand that these days.
Pretty much. It's press the button and send the email these days.
Exactly right.
So Raper again leading the Formula Vs up the front straight. They gathered him all up through the wobbly bits down around Dandenong Road end there, and but he's able to just accelerate away from them down the straight. Sends up the spray. Connor Ryan, meanwhile, back out in the front. He's still sliding the car around. Out a bit wide comes in.
I reckon that's a handbrake he's got outboard there.
It's certainly a fun lever, I think, whatever it is.
The fun tool. The Formula Vs now, they were all starting to fan out on the front straight. So line astern, the Buzzing Hornets, Chris Jackson goes again. He just needs his mate in the 85, Josh Lowing, to go through there as well, doesn't he?
He does. Josh had a bit of a look around the outside, but not able to pull that one off. The Raper machine just able to pull away up the straight. 3 wide with the Formula Vs up the back straight as they all spread out looking for a bit of track to race on. There's plenty of it out there. You've just got to keep out of the puddles.
Don't you ever. So 2 Salas are going head to head here in the 4 and the 12. They're actually 3 wide.
4 wide, almost 4 wide there. I think that's Lee Ball actually in that mix as well. It is. So he's back at... the Formula Vs, they are putting on the display of a time here. Absolutely great to watch the Formula Vs. They race close. They all know each other. They respect each other. It's great close racing.
Just watching Will Sala there as well, trying to chime in on this. The number 12 pokes its front out. That's Will in Will Sala and Raper number 16. But again, Chris Jackson goes wide. That's going to hurt his run as he goes
Not
over
really.
the painted lines. No, in fact, he's used like a BMX boom. The 99 loops it around. That's Ross McLaughlin.
Was it Ross or Lee Ball?
I think it was the 99.
Oh, okay.
So he looped it and looked like stayed off all the walls. But Lee Ball is in the 81. Let's have a look through the mist here. There's the 81. There's the 81.
He's right up.
Stayed with us.
So Lee Ball doing a great job. He's not normally a Formula V driver. This is an invited drive. I think it's the 2nd or 3rd time he's had a bit of a poke at this car. He's normally a mini driver, so swapping a bit of power through the front wheels to power through the back wheels, or not a little bit of power, not a lot.
There he goes, up the inside. Hit send. Everyone gets the email. And it is Will Sala again trying to look up the inside. That must look like a B-double driving alongside you, that car, Graham Rapers.
Absolutely, and he was almost touching wheels there. I don't think he intended to get as close as that. Oh, yes, here we go. The bit of a replay on our screen, and the old tank slapper flapping around like a windscreen wiper in a high wind.
That is the 99 of Ross McLaughlin from Equity One. Replay there. Fantastic shots. And this is even better. Have a look at this. It is absolutely grab a gear, hit the brakes, close your eyes and steer left.
Yeah. Lee Ball coming around the outside. He's looking for the line around the outside. Lines it up beside the 85, I think it is.
Yep, Josh Lowing.
Josh. So I'll tell you what, if you're pedalling around with Josh Lowing, you're doing pretty well, because Josh is a very, very good pedaler.
There's only a couple of interstaters here. David Reed, who is currently down in 14th, and Charlie Mitchell in car number 30 is not taken to the field here today, but all Victorians out there, and all would be used to racing in the rain here at Sandown, because most of the state series, or one of the state series, is here in August, and it's generally pretty wet for that one, although this year we had a very dry event. As we get a look back at our race leader, Connor Ryan staying off what we allege is a handbrake.
Yeah, it's certainly a fun lever, whichever way you look. But I'm just noticing the fastest lap out there at the moment is by
Peter George.
Peter George in 58. So there we go. He's well back in the field, but he's the fastest one on track.
It is. Everyone is slowly getting their lap times down here. We've got two wide there again with Lowing. And he gets to look to the inside. We'll put him at the inside at the top of the hill, but you don't get to flow the car quite as well. In fact, Chris Jackson's probably closest he's been to Raper at that time at the top of the hill. It just draws out as they get up the top of the hill there, past the Penrite Oils advertisement.
So they come up the back straight, hook it down to the left. Now, they're not going to be going full speed, or I'm pretty sure maybe the Formula Vs are able to go full speed up and over the top there, but Graham Raper is going to be well out of the throttle coming up over the top. Oh, a bit of a touch there, and around he goes, and Lee Ball just in a spot that he couldn't do anything about, trying to select a gear and get the car going. They're both going again, so...
Brendan Sala sent a bit of a Hail Mary there, and in fact he drove on from that, and the other two were left scratching their head wondering what happened there, but definitely Brendan Sala dive bombed down into the inside there in car number 4, and what that's done is it's ripped this whole group out. Yep, the number 4 into the side of Chris Jackson. Jackson gets put sideways, bends the nose down on the number 4, gives a little bit of a wallop into the wheel on Chris Jackson's car, but certainly the number 4 drives away with, I'm going to say, a bit of a blood nose, but the other two there, let's hope that Chris Jackson doesn't have any damage to the suspension where his fellow competitor went into the side of it. Wow, that's an entertaining driving there, isn't it? You're that far out in front, you start to turn it on. And Connor Ryan has got such great car control.
He has. He's been turning it on right from the get-go. He's just been having fun out the front there, Sal. Just having a little bit of understeer mid-corner there too. And wondering what's happening behind him. Coming up onto the back straight, and they release all of those 40 horsepowers and thunder up the back straight.
There's our race leader. Got the track to himself now. Interestingly enough, still not actually the fastest car on track. Probably got the most amount of right pedal motivation at his disposal, but a tough gig when each time you apply it, it just breaks into wheel spin. And we're just watching that there now, and he is slowing. No, there's yellow, double yellows being waved out there. That's the 99. It's 2 cars spun there.
Yep.
2 cars spun. That's Ross McLaughlin again.
Yeah.
Green flag there, so looks like no harm, no foul. Jackson and Sala have gone to the pits. And Ross McLaughlin, I'm pretty sure there was another car in the mix there. Anyway, let's get on with this, because we have got the checkered flag now coming out, and that will see Connor Ryan take race 1 for the weekend in groups J, K, LB, Formula B, and invited race 1. And I guess for you and I, Phil, and probably everyone else watching on, is who comes third, fourth and fifth, because that's where the battle has been. Line astern, side by side, in fact. Don't worry about line astern. It was side by side. Will Sala gets the third spot there. Graham Raper takes P2. Josh Lowing, and then we've got Peter George getting through. Lee Ball in the 81. Yep. Pacelli. No, I'll give that another go. Puccinelli gets through there. Get that right by the end of the weekend, I promise you. And I apologise to the driver of car number 32, Abby Wingett. Great job there in car number 23. She came out of 13th and comes through to position number 8. So that's a massive improvement in these, I'm going to say, treacherous conditions. Phil.
They are treacherous. It's no doubt about it. The track's very, very slippery, very, very wet. And to keep the car on the black stuff, they've all done extremely well.
Certainly have, and everyone has managed to keep it there, except for Ross McLaughlin, and I'm just interested to see if there was another car mixed up. Here's the number 4, sans its nose cone, because it had a blood nose coming out of turn 4 with the collision with car number 80, and now it's lost its nose cone. The 32 just comes driving to the line there. That's the Puccinelli car. And coming to the line very nicely, the Lotus 11. They're a magnificent car. Have a look at this.
Replay.
Chris Jackson just getting a look. There is Ross McLaughlin.
Can't quite catch it.
All by himself.
Yeah. All by himself. They're the best ones to have.
Well, they are. You tend to go around. This is not what we wanted. There's the blood nose. There's the kick up the backside for your efforts. So car 80 and 81, numerically correct. And Equity One, we thank them for all of those replays. The JKLB and Formula V as they continue to come across the line. There's Abby getting through there as well. And that is the Doherty KB class car number 25, getting to the line there with Paul Doherty at the wheel. And Paul has got the Dodge Special. Gee, I reckon there'd be a few of them running around the world, wouldn't there? A Dodge Special.
Yeah, the old big straight 6 Dodge. Fairly good power plant. Good to see Abby Wingate out there. She had to have a bit of surgery on her foot after an unfortunate accident a while ago, which broke her foot. And apparently she's recently had all of the metal removed from her foot, so she's happy about that.
Good looking car too, and a nice drive too, getting all those places up. So car 50 gets to the line there as well. That's David Reed. Then we go to Louise Draper in the number 41. Of course, Louise is in the George Reed Ford Special as well. And that's the 1947. So the Mark 1 versus the Mark 2, which has got Graham Raper at the wheel.
Yeah, Louise, keen competitor, and good to see her out there having a go.
Certainly is. Well, that is JKLB and Invited done for today. They will be on track again tomorrow morning, pardon me, at 10:25. Phil, you and I are going to take a quick break because we've got Groups M and O Sports and Racing on track in just a couple of moments.
Good, but scary.
I think it's a sense of community, a sense of purpose, of belonging, and a sense of pride.
Beaming smile and the happiness, it just makes it worthwhile.
We pride ourselves on running great track days, but this is the event that we love the most.
I knew she was the one. The heart's going a million miles an hour, the mouth's dry. It's love, mate. Pure and simple. In 71, this was the fastest four-door car in the world. Back then you could pick one up for a bit over $4,000. Insurance, it's got to be Shannon's.
No one knows your passion like Shannon's. And with our multi-vehicle discount, you can even cover your daily drive. So call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
From an early age, I knew some cars were a statement of style and elegance. This is my SL63, my most prized possession. Friends say it's more like an obsession. It's my car, and I absolutely love it. I'm a motoring enthusiast, and Shannon's is my insurance company.
Shannon shares your passion. Call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
If you're wondering who Equity One are and what they do, Equity One are a public, non-listed financial institution specialising in delivering reputable finance services for investors and competitive loans for borrowers. Investors can find a competitive fixed interest rate investment that has the capacity to generate an income. Suitable investors include superannuation funds, retirees and pension funds, individuals seeking a secured income stream, institutions, charitable trusts and other trust institutions. To see what Equity One can do for you, head to www.equity1.com.au. Invest in experience, invest with Equity One, target return 7%. Read their website for T's and C's with all of that involved. As we go back to live pictures here at the Equity One Sandown Historics for 2025, and we have got groups MO Sports and Racing. I'm Darren Smith, and Phil Membry jumps straight back on the microphone. He only comes alive when cars are on track. He powers down between events. Phil, I'm glad you do. You keep your energy levels high for the action on track. Wow, this is a bit of a truncated field considering the conditions, isn't it?
It is, and a little bit sad, but good to see Philip Randall out there. He's on pole in the Formula Ford, followed by Sean Whelan, and from South Australia. So we've got some people from interstate here. We've got a couple of South Australians and New South Wales. Everybody else is from Victoria. So again, we've got a mix of cars from the old style Lotus 7 style of clubman car. I'm going to stick with that, to a 70s, 80s style car 50 there, being Chris Horde in position 3.
And that's the that's typical to the era too, Phil. That's the Ardbeen WDC1. There was quite an era where a lot of garages turned out a lot of clubman type cars, wasn't there?
Yep.
Farrells and all sorts of things.
Including me, I built a copy of a Farrell.
Oh, there you go. There you go. So that's what I'm talking about. Interestingly enough, and sadly, it doesn't look like Mark Velmorbita is coming out in car number 12, which is the Brabham BT23C. I guess you can understand it when you look at the priceless value of some of these cars. When these trickier conditions start to occur, you can see why they say, well, he might come back tomorrow.
Yeah, well, look, it's certainly wet weather tyre gear, and if you haven't got a reasonable set of wet weathers, you're not going to go out there on slicks.
No, you're certainly not. But let's try and pick up who we do have. We've got another one of the Super 7 style cars there as well. In fact, that looks like it's got the narrower tyre, so it's probably the older style. 4 cars out of a potential 15 have made their way out there as well. We were very much looking forward to seeing George Vidovic fresh back from the United States. Yes, we do have a car down there. I think that might be Paul Faulkner. Paul Faulkner, is it?
Yeah.
So he's off the back of the grid in the 94 anyway. So lots of gaps there as the cars stream down into turn 1. And you've got to say it's the cars that are probably under 300 horsepower that are fronted up.
Yeah, I would think so, and certainly with grooves in those tyres, you would not want to be out there on slick tyres. It's in fact, I don't think they would allow you to go out there on slick tyres.
No, the track's been declared wet, so that's where we sit. Interestingly enough, the number 17, Jeff Wright, we saw him earlier in the TT, and Jeff's in the Elfin Malala, so that's just under 2 litre or 1900cc horsepower available, and the car Phil Randall, who sat on pole in car number 9, is the FFA Formula Ford Hawk DL15.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to pick that Paul Faulkner could do quite well in this race. He just needs to... He's already up on the back of the car in front, and he just needs to bide his time, pick them off one by one, and I think he could well come through.
Beautiful silhouette, the BT Brabham BT 29, only 1600cc, but that was when those classes in Europe went to the lesser capacity. And it certainly became lesser capacity, but they certainly matched some of the numbers on horsepower-wise when they started to develop them. Names like Cosworth and things like that start to appear.
Yes, well, of course, these days you look at Formula One and how much power they're putting out, and they're, 1,500 cc's. So it's an amazing achievement that things can be done with engineering. That
amazing what things can be done with engineering, yet they can't make the Formula One sound any good anymore.
Oh, no, I like them.
Yeah, they're going to flat note to them. I'm of the V10, V12.
I really love the V10s too, don't get me wrong, but it's that engineering sound. As Paul Faulkner comes right up on the back of the clubman.
Yeah, Chris just getting out of the way there. It would be pretty difficult to see, actually, the BT29 of Faulkner, even though you are low slung to the ground in a clubman. The only thing lower is the car that's drawing right alongside.
Pretty much.
These conditions with the spray in your mirrors, you'd be in a bit of strife to try and identify that. But Paul Faulkner is just taking caution here. The caution is the better part of valour here at this point in time.
100%.
And recording it all too. You didn't have those GoPros on your roll cage back in the 60s, did you?
No, not at all. And just looking at car 17 there, Jeffrey Wright. That's a beautiful little car, and works his way around, about to come on to the back straight. Nice and smooth through there, keep it nice and straight. Just the slightest little bit of tail waggle as he pulls it onto the straight. Paul Faulkner still at the back. I was a bit surprised by that. I thought he might have been able to open up the tap a little bit more than the car in front, but apparently not.
It's tricky, and that's when you've got these bits of car underneath you, and I get it. You get out there on track, your red mist comes down, you flip the visor down, there's all these inputs, the vibration, the smell, the push into the back of your seat, and then you get a little twitch and you go, you know what, I haven't got any spares for any part of this car, and it's the best part of 12 months just to make a new wheel for one.
Yeah, and next year, of course, is going to be quite a highlighting year for the Brabham cars, so Paul will be keen to keep that car in shape and ready for all of the activity that will happen next year around Brabham.
Certainly, I would suggest that's why Mark Valmobita has parked it up, although he does have the Rainmaster himself, Phil Hughes, fettling the spanners on that car, doing all of the set down and set up for that car. And of course, Phil down there from Hughes Supercar Services won a race here in 2017, and let me tell you, reckon we've had some rain over the last 24 hours. That day, the clubman breaks loose right in front of the pit lane area, sideways for quite some time, skating across the surface. I think someone quoted a Torval and Dean manoeuvre earlier on today. That was one of them. Emma Dean claiming that one from a distance, and certainly gathered it all up and continued on, grabbed our attention.
Yeah, certainly. I bet it grabbed his attention even more. So he will be unpacking something when he gets back to the pits, that's for sure.
I was just touching on Phil Hughes in his Radical, as it was in the Radical Australia Cup. The water was actually about 2 inches deep all across the whole straight before it was raining that hard. And he was the bravest soul that day and took out a race win. And all his life he's been a mechanic, working on the cars with the greats like Alan Simonson, and he became a race driver. His morph from mechanic to race driver was when he hit the checkered flag and he thrust his finger up in the... He thought he was Sebastian Vettel. Big shout out to Phil Hughes down there in pit lane. I know he's listening, and it was a great day to see the mechanic become a race driver.
Just watching the white clubman there. It's car 161. It's moving around quite a bit.
Luke Harbrough, and you've got to say, we had Tom Reed in here, and he'd been out in the Formula Ford in the Regularity, and he said that moving around is just immense fun. It's about just moving the steering wheel, millimetre left, millimetre right, or 10 millimetres or 50 millimetres, whatever the input that's required. And I reckon that's what we're seeing right now with Luke Harbrough. He's wanting to get through on the Alphen Malala. In fact, he's waved through.
And I'm going to say immense fun until it's not.
Yeah, that's life though, isn't it?
He's gone through, he's pulled the manoeuvre off.
Yep, Jeff Wright just put the arm out and said, I surrender, you go around that way, and then I can control you going past, as the BT29 starts to have a bit of a look at what's going on there, and Paul Faulkner looking for a bit of a run on the Elfin. But I tell you what, Jeff Wright in the Elfin Malala bobs his nose out and says, well, I can't see anything in behind this clubman.
Yeah, that mist is pretty immense, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, and around he goes. He was getting a little bit overconfident there. 0 to 0.
Wow, it is.
The line that's often used.
It is tricky, isn't it, out there when you see a car just on his own there like that. So the 17 of Jeff Wright continues on. And your old mate Laurie Bennett was supposed to have started behind Jeff Wright in the number 65. He was supposed to start out of position number 9. Of course, he was with you yesterday, Phil, instructing some TAFE students.
Yeah, no, not TAFE.
Not TAFE, sorry. High school students.
Secondary school students, and a big cheerio to those students from Moe who'd come up yesterday, and I took some of them in. Laurie happily talked to them about things motorsport, and later on he gave me some feedback that they were a great bunch of kids, asked some really good questions, and he was impressed by their knowledge that he was able to pick up by the questions that they asked. They already knew stuff. I also took them to speak to none other than Malcolm Osler. So Malcolm, a bit of a Formula Ford man here in Australia, went overseas, ended up in Formula One and Indy cars as head engineer. Has come back. He's got, I think, 5 Australian hill climb championships, and he happily talked to them as well. Sadly, Malcolm had a bit of an issue later yesterday, and he's not here.
Yeah, and what a career in Indy cars too. Multiple race wins. You've engineered with all the great drivers that in that era. And sadly, Malcolm not here with us today. Having said that, I think Andrew Madecki's filling his shoes quite well in the Formula 2 ranks as well. So we'll be seeing those cars coming up on track very soon as well. But this is, at the moment, everyone's trying to just find a bit of track where they're not getting spray in their face. But Randall now is, that gap is starting to be closed. 2.5 minutes still left in this one. So Paul Faulkner has managed to negate all the other competitors in this one and got into P2 with a 2:02.9 last time around and a 2:03.1. So it's only 0.2 of a second difference between first and second, but it's just on 7 seconds gap. And at 0.2 of a second, you need about another 30 laps to be able to claw back that. But this car, once it points in a straight line, and we actually haven't had rain fall for about the last 2 or 3 minutes. We're not adding to the bulk of water that needs to be pumped clean.
No, there's still a lot of water that needs to be pumped. And the Faulkner machine has got a set of tyres on it that appears to be pumping that water rather well, the spray coming up from those rear tyres. But he's got quite a gap, as you say, Darren, to make up to try and pick off Randall in the front position.
We will keep an eye on that, because I reckon Faulkner has stepped things up quite a lot in the last little while, and it's a clubman. In fact, it's the one we saw spin a little bit earlier in the main straight. There he is there.
The twitchy bits coming up over the top of the hill there, watching the clubman of Herd, as he is the fastest car on the track, making up some ground from having the bit of an indiscretion earlier and trying to at least get the fastest lap time, which
that is a wicked bit of application of horsepower, isn't it, for Luke Harbrough in the 161. And thrilling sort of stuff. This is often when you come to the racetrack, we might not be seeing the top speeds and the top lap times, but what we are seeing is drivers' skill and ability absolutely coming to the fore. Wow, this gap is now down to under 1 second. A 1:55, sorry, a 1:56 has been eclipsed on that last lap. 6 seconds a lap faster by Paul Faulkner. He's found his flippers he is going for a swim.
He has. He's certainly found as you say, the flippers. I think he's found something else. I'm not sure what he's done, but boy, that's a big chop onto the time, as perhaps he's managed to drain all the water out of his helmet, and you can see where he's going. And he's right up on the tail now. He'll pop out and make a passing manoeuvre up the back straight, I'm pretty sure. But Well, maybe not. He might just like a bit of a drink of water from the spray from Randall in front.
Equal capacity, these cars, both 1600cc. I'm going to say a Cosworth versus a Kent-engined Formula Ford. So there is a significant engineering difference, and I'm going to say horsepower deficit to the car that's leading this race, which is Phil Randall, and he's done a tremendous job over 5 laps. Drove clear of Faulkner, and Faulkner's actually done what he's done to everyone else now. He's driven up to the back of Randall, and he's just having a bit of a half a lap to watch and see. Randall's noticed that there's a car in his mirrors now, and he's right. I was getting a little bit complacent.
Yep,
Better get on with this.
Big twitches there from Randall as they come around the last few corners. I'm pretty confident that this will be the last.
Last lap board out now.
Last lap board coming out. So this lap, and we are underway for the final lap. So Faulkner, again, the fastest lap on that lap. So he's picked a bit extra, and Randall must have lifted his game a little bit.
Yes. Certainly that last lap around, he's jumped into the 153s himself. So matching the lap time almost by the 1,000ths of a second now is Randall. So he's got the hurry up.
Yep, 100%.
If he can close on me, I can try the very best I can. I've done 5 laps of having a joyous time out in front. I'm not about to hand it over to an interloper coming from the back in the Brabham.
I'm not sure that we'd describe Paul Faulkner as an interloper.
No, well,
he's got a fair amount of experience.
Absolutely.
As he pulls up alongside, and away he goes up the back straight, clearly in the lead now. So he will, barring commentators' curses, I'm going to tip him to win.
Well, at this point in time, you would certainly expect so. But well done to Philip Randall. These cars are sharing the race together. They are not equal in specification. You can tell that by the rear tyre width on these two cars here as well. He's got about twice the width of tyre, and hey, in wet conditions that doesn't always work in your favour because you can aquaplane fairly quickly.
Yeah.
But there's not a drying line. There is a changing wet line out there at the moment.
Yeah, drive as fast as you can between the wet bits. Well, it's wet all the way around. Randall's still fighting. And around he goes. He loops it eventually. He wasn't going to give up. I hope he's kept it off all of the bits down there. He certainly kept his foot into it. He tried to drive out of that once it started to get a little bit sideways, and that was a bit of a disaster.
Oh, yeah, that, well, I guess the tribute to what he was trying to achieve there was to try and get that race win back, but Paul Faulkner from rear of field started out of position number 13, ticked the boxes with the other 5 cars in this race, and ended up greeting the checkered flag first. And here it comes. Here comes Phil Randall. Let's see how far behind that loop heading into turn 11. What it cost him? Well, it cost him 22 seconds. So gathered it all up, ultimately gets back home on the podium. So that's a great result in that respect. The Alphen Malalar of Jeff Wright will be home in position number 3. Chris Herod in the number 50 Clubman. And then we go to the 161 of Luke Harborough, and Luke is in the ARA Clubman as well. And that's only a 1500cc power plant in that one as well.
Yeah, really pleased to see Randall get that back out of the boggy bits. I think he slipped out onto the green accelerator, but managed to avoid all of the paraphernalia beside the green accelerator.
Well, that's true too. And we don't wish anyone to come in contact with anything out there. And the only thing we really want is the contact patch of the tyre on the black stuff as much as possible.
Yep, that's it. Great job there by Paul Faulkner. And here we go with a replay with the Clubman getting all out of shape up the front straight.
Yep, that was the ARA Clubman of... sorry, no, that wasn't the ARA Clubman. I got that wrong. That's Chris Herod.
Yep, that's it. So
in car 50, that's the Arbin WDC1.
Randall again. He's fought it. He's sort of got it straight, and then he's fought it again, and it's just gone twitch, twitch, twitch. any which way but loose. Well,
Look at the
very
spray
loose.
come up there. There's a lot of standing water. That's like a Moomba ski contest going on out there when you see the wall of water go up like that. So Phil Randall ends up home in P2 to right Herondon Harborough. And that rounds out our Groups MO Sports and Racing cars for Saturday afternoon. They'll go racing twice again tomorrow. Their first race at 10:50 for this category. Up next is Groups PQR Racing, the Q&R Sports and Invited cars. And they will be on track very, very soon indeed. We'll take a break. Please stay with us here at Sandown International Motor Raceway. If you're watching this on the live stream, we're still going to be here racing until 5:30 tonight. So if you're local in Melbourne, come down and join us, or set aside a Sunday to come to the Equity 1 Victorian Historic Racing Register 2025 Historic Sandown. Back in a moment. Back live pictures here at the Equity 1 2025 Victorian Historic Racing Register Historic Sandown. The return of the Thunder, and I think this might be the category that is going to have a crack at doing that. I think, Phil?
Absolutely. There's some really cool cars out there, and there's some good drivers.
Yes, there is some very experienced drivers, and this guy leading the field away. Multiple Gold Star winner, multiple Australian Formula 3 champion, Tim Macro. Right alongside him is Andy Madecki. So Tim is driving car number 11, which is a Pro Sport SC91 3-litre. So you know it's got European pedigree when it says 3 litre in it, because if it was from North America it'd be double that number. But certainly there is some really good storylines here. Andy Madecki out there in car number 16, the March 76B, and this car has hung up in their own Ford dealership for decades. They dragged it down off the wall and have given it the big restoration job.
Yeah.
And car number 16 with Andy Madecki at the wheel will be on the front row of the grid there as well. One of the interesting ones, and I'm not discounting Kieran Patel in the number 93 Porsche there, but they are certainly got some very, very nice cars. The one that I'm talking about is Rowan Carrick, and Rowan is in that yellow and blue car. Now this has been in the family for some time. The CRD 852, which is the Carrick family car. It has had a massive restoration, and Rowan is driving the car that his dad raced. I can't think of a more, I'm going to say romantic, but certainly family links run strong in the Carrick motor racing family, and this is not lost on Rowan. He is very, very happy to be driving this car and have it back in the shed, if you like. And that's very, very cool indeed.
Well, another bit of a match-up out here. It's not so much a car that's been in the family, but Dean Tighe in a Brabham. So
yes.
Ivan Tighe was a part of the engine development of the Repco Brabham engine. So that's a little bit of a tie in there. And Dean is actually packing up his hill climb car and taking it to the UK to run in the British Hill Climb Championship rounds next year, which is a bit of a feat.
Well, I tell you what, when you've won the amount of hill climb championships as you have domestically, why not try and take your engineering and driving talent to the world?
Exactly, and he's driven an Empire Wrath over in the UK, and he was built for a smaller man than he. Found it a bit difficult to drive, but he came away going, yeah, my car will go faster than this one. So, and then behind there's also Alan Foley, another hill climber. He's a bit new to the circuit racing stuff in a Kaducha, which is a really nice little car.
Isn't it? Yeah, that number 77, just a magnificent piece of work. And then car number 2 is Dean Tighe, we've just been talking about there, the Brabham BT 36. They started to grow wings, didn't they, the BTs?
Yep, and that one has been driven by none other than Graham Hill.
So some absolute pedigree as we look back through the field there. This, where were we? We're up to Dean Tighe, David Crabtree in the number 15 car. That's the March car. In fact, I'm not sure that's David is out there, is he? This is a rolling start. Tim Macro will now face the field. as looking at the 72. Sorry, that's the Alan Foley car.
Yeah.
And we are away, and have a look at that. Andy Madecki gets an absolute ripper in the march, and he goes away with it very, very nicely in car number 16, the March 76B, as they head down into turn 1. The open wheeler just gets a bit skatey here. Underbrakes Macro, fills our screens, fills turn 1 with car number 11, and the charge down into turn number 2 through the water here. Whoa, look at these cars. They just move around underneath these drivers, and I can guarantee you that but neither Tim or Andy left any millimetres underneath the fully planted right foot. Rowan Carrick, the same thing. He dispenses with the Porsche, which you would think in these conditions is in a strategically better position with not getting the wind in your face, but certainly they apply the power. This is where the Porsche will start to move up onto the back of the CRD of Rowan Carrick. But the two cars out in front there, Andy Madecki, the magnificent number 16 March 76B, 1600 horsepower, Q Racing is its category.
Yeah, and you can see these cars that have got the aero on them. They drag the water up with spray up off the track at higher speeds, and it gets really difficult for the guy behind to see what's going on in front.
Oh, big flames out the back
flame.
of that. That's that series of Porsche does well. The 930 certainly do light up the flames as we see Karan Patel in the number 93, the Porsche 930 Turbo 3 litre. And there it is.
There
Turbo winds up as Rowan Carrick, very much an open wheeler racer. We know him in the historic sense. And back in the era for his time in Formula Holden, was a guy that spent many years racing Formula Holden, still has his in the garage, and we will probably see that at Phillip Island for the Classic, or the Penrite 100 Classic.
He was running the Formula Holden last year, so I expect to see him back there again this year in that car. But meanwhile, out on track, so we've got Macro, Madecki, Patel, Carrick, Cracknell, Ty, Foley and Ross in that order on track at the moment.
Geez, I tell you what, this could be at Circuit Les Arth at any given year about 20 years ago, couldn't it? With that wedge-shaped sports car coming at you, the Pro Sport SC91.
I love the shape of these cars. I love the big sports cars, the Le Mans style cars. They're just beautiful machines, and to see them at speed and look at the amount of spray that brings up.
And Tim is renowned for his time in Formula 3 here in Australia, but throughout Asia he's driven the bigger sports cars and the LM type cars, the modern era of this sort of sports car, if you will. And he finds himself very much at home here at Sandown, being his local track, and as does his family. In fact, I just run into his brother Adam, who's preparing cars here this weekend. I think Adam's actually working, certainly working in Formula Ford realm with Tabitha Ambrose. But I tell you what, this is a great shot. I love this head-on shot, particularly with cars like this that Andy Madecki is driving, the number 16. You can see the water pick up on the tyres and get it thrown off. It's very, very graphic. And for those that like the school of motorsport, you can see the front tyre feeding the rear tyre with water as well. And it picks it up and gives it a white patch right across the tyre. And this is the sort of thing that motorsport engineers, racing engineers have to deal with every single time the driver comes in and says, I've got a lot of front grip, but for some reason I'm getting a lot of water on the back wheels. Well, that's because the front wheels are throwing extra water at them.
Exactly, and it's not an easy thing to drive these cars at speed. They are very, very twitchy in those sort of conditions. Your reflexes need to be right on the money.
So the Macro car is an R Racing outfit, and the lap record is held by John Bow, and it's a 109.69 and a March 7.41, and that goes back to 2017. I'm not saying Timmy's going to get near that, nor should he be expected to be, but at a 130 in these conditions, he's only 13 seconds a lap off it, and that's what we should be marvelling in.
Yeah.
The number 16 of Andy Madecki is, as I mentioned, a Q Racing car, and the Q Racing lap record is by Ty Hanger, and that is in a March Formula Pacific. So that is a very big jump in performance to the Formula Pacific. So you're talking mid-80s, and that actual lap record by Ty Hanger goes back 20 years.
Yeah, that's a long time for a record to stand at any racetrack in Australia.
It certainly is.
But up the back straight goes Macro in that beautiful car. I want to try and shoehorn him out and get a steer of that car, or maybe has it got a passenger seat in it actually?
I think by the rules it technically will, but you might find it's just a bit of aluminium that you've got to hang on to, and there's no seatbelt in it. What is really interesting for those watching on in the grandstand is watching this particular car and Andy Madecki's car going up the back straight. All you can really see on this car is the that yellow sticker at the very top of the yellow sticker.
Yep.
And a big plume of water, whereas Andy Madecki, all you can see is a big plume of water going up in the air. So the race tyres do pump the track dry, and certainly the aero package that this car comes with, it will use the air that goes under the car as effectively as it does go over the car.
So just watching Alan Foley come through there, still following Dean Ty in that beautiful Brabham, and they head on up the back straight. Alan's car is for sale, so if you want to buy yourself a Kadecha, there's one there that's for sale.
Yeah, wow, the Kadechas with open wheelers and closed top cars, you can marvel for many hours on YouTube watching Bap Romano in that magnificent Kadecha, which used a lot of Formula One gear in it.
Yeah, that was DFV Ford V8 powered, or Cosworth V8. And what a machine that was, or still is actually. The car still exists. So
I got to say a very big thank you to Dean Ty in car number 2. It is magnificent to see this Brabham out on track. And you were touching on before, Phil, that 2026 is a special year for the Brabhams.
Yeah. A lot of research to do on my part on that. I'm not going to reveal too much of that, but there's a lot going to happen, I believe, next year around the Brabham name and Brabham cars. So watch this space is all I'm going to say.
It over the decades, the name Brabham just invokes excitement, doesn't it? That last iteration of cars that they made, the BTs, they stuck with the era of the 62 and 63, and those that built for the World Endurance Championship type of hypercars. They were just absolutely immense and were absolutely worthy of sitting on the family tree, weren't they?
100%. But of course, there's a bit of a special tie-in for me with the Brabham name. I was a bit of a toddler, and I'd heard a bit on a thing called the radio that there was some bloke named of Jack Brabham that had won a world championship, and I thought that was pretty cool. And I used to pretend I was Jack Brabham with all of my little Matchbox toys back in the day. So.
And it would have sounded something like this. And Jack Brabham has come to the line, and he has taken it out in the car in his own name.
That would be correct.
Something like that. Down the crackly radio into the colonies, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. He's still the only driver to win a car bearing his own name. So I don't think anybody's, like, he's the designer. He did a lot of the design work, and along with Ron Turanak, who is probably the principal part of the design part there. But as we see Macro there slide past Alan Foley, just made that look really, really easy down the inside. Alan wasn't going to try and put up any sort of a fight, although the car does get a bit twitchy as he comes out of Dandenong.
I challenge you next time you are watching a modern Grand Prix from any part of the world, wherever they are this weekend, to just stop and think that the guy leading the race designed, owned the company and won the race in that car. It absolutely stops you in your tracks.
Yep.
And to think of it like that, and that's exactly what Jack Brabham did. Very, very steeped in the Victorian Historic Racing Register as well is Jack.
And the patron of the VHRA, but to also think about the Repco Brabham V8. So the basis of that was an Oldsmobile V8, whereas a lot of the other Formula One manufacturers at the time were designing their multi-cylindered 12s and what have you, and special engines just for Formula One. Jack went, I'll just go and I'll use use an old V8 and we'll make some bits and put on it and make that go.
And there were some great names, names like Phil Irving and Hoot Gibson and all of those sort of names that go along with the development of the Repco Brabham. And those engines were slung into so many different sorts of racing cars as well.
Yep. And Frank Hallam was another one down in Geelong. For those people in Geelong that are a little bit older, they'd remember the Hallam engine reconditioners down there. Well, they were also involved.
Tim Macro driving very, very nicely. Fastest lap on lap 4 with a yellow flag out at 12, so we won't be seeing a rapid one now. Last lap board has been shown, and Tim is bringing the Pro Sport SC 91 car number 11 to the line now. There's the 4. The Malala has gone around, but Macro will take the Group PQ&R Sports and Racing car number, race number 1. Last time round, a very handy 21 seconds ahead of Andy Madecki. But Timmy Macro gets the job done very, very nicely there indeed. Trevor Ross in car number 4. Sorry, that was the Royale that we saw go round, car number 4.
He's a bit stranded there on the edge of the track. No damage, I don't think, but well away from any of the ancillary bits that hang around the outside of the track. He should be back at the next race.
Just in the miss, it is Andy Madecki coming to the line, and we've got Dean Ty, who had gone down, was just about to go down another lap there. So Ty goes through, as does Foley, and Cracknell getting through there as well. So Rob Cracknell in the number 77. Tiga SC80 Sports, that was the closed body car just in front of this group. This magnificent looking number 2. The subtle wings that started to appear, and then they went about 6 metres up in the air, didn't they?
They did, David.
up on stilts. They were not 6 metres, but about a metre up in the air.
Was it the Chaparral? Was it in the US that had the wing way up in the air?
And they ran the ones on the front up off the front uprights as well.
Yep.
Not the the suspension mounts. Crazy. We look at it now and go crazy, but boy, weren't they absolute pioneers of the form of aerodynamics?
100%. It's the old story. If you don't try it, you won't know whether it's going to work or not. So.
Yeah, didn't they break a lot of components?
Yeah, they did.
And there was an era where there's plenty of TV shows that can explain it to you as well, where Jackie Stewart tried to improve the safety along with Bernie Eccleston, a very young Bernie, trying to improve the safety for race drivers. Well, that has seen our PQ&R Sports and Racing cars. They will next be on track tomorrow morning at 11:15. Phil, thank you so much for joining me right since we opened up the broadcast, and particularly over the last 3. Sir, you can take a break, and we will have the Group C and Group A tribute cars on track very soon.
Thanks, Darren. Been great to be here this morning, and I look forward to having a bit more of a yap with you tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to it too as well, Bill. Back in a moment with Group C and Group A's on track.
Good, but scary.
I think it's a sense of community, a sense of purpose, of belonging, and a sense of pride.
Beaming smile and the happiness, it just makes it worthwhile.
We pride ourselves on running great track days, but this is the event that we love the most.
From an early age, I knew some cars were a statement of style and elegance.
I've been a motoring enthusiast all my life.
My life is hot rods, designing them, building them, and racing.
My Coupe 4 is rare and very special.
Beautiful, handcrafted, proper works of art.
This is my most prized possession.
Insurance? Shannon's, of course.
Fantastic stories there from Sandra back at the Winton Festival of Speed, and keep your eyes peeled to the VHRR social media, because the Winton Festival of Speed, after record crowds of record numbers through the gates in August this year, wait until you see what 2026 brings. The emergence of the Winton Festival of Speed on the historic racing scene has been nothing short of mega over the last 2 years, and with that as an introduction, a guy that works on making that event mega right throughout the last few years has joined me with I'm going to say the category that makes his heartbeat and his passion go right for it. Brett Florence, welcome to the Super Sprint for the Group C and A tribute cars. Now, just give those that are watching on at home, because there's not a lot of people that have made their way to the track here today, but I implore everyone to do it tomorrow, because it's going to be amazing, great weather tomorrow. It's been amazing how windy and rainy and wet it is here today, but you can still tuck yourself into the grandstand up there and have a great time. So please, we've still got a couple of hours of racing to go. If you're not doing anything and you're local to the track, come and join us as Ian Ross stops on the exit of Turn 4. Brett, just give us an idea, the rundown of the inception of this tribute style of super sprint type driving.
Well, thanks very much, mate, for the invite. But look, this category has slowly grown to the point where it's now very popular for us. But it's just a category, you know, guys that have got a car that they have always loved, and, you know, they've decided, well, I can't have the real thing, so I'm going to build something that's as close as I can.
Having said that, the car we're just looking at is one of the real things.
Exactly. And look, you know, there's a couple of the guys, one that's not out here at the moment is Adrian Elsley in his VL Walkinshaw, and it'll be out tomorrow if it's a bit dry. He's just got a wet weather tyre issue. But, you know, it's open to those guys that come and do this sprint. Now, they're not racing for sheep stations, these guys, even though some guys think they are at times. But essentially, all these cars, other than Ian Ross's at the moment and the little red M3, they're all a tribute car of something that was famous in the day. You got, you know, Dave Ramsey there in the XA Coupe. Like, that's a cool thing when you look at it. And then you go to Craig Barkler in that VR car, the Pinnacle Motorsport car, you know, and that's something different. You know, most guys would remember the HRT cars or a Gibson car or Perkins. You know, he's done a Pinnacle car, which no one would think of, but it's a cool looking car,
and certainly matches it with the performance. One of the really cool things that I like about, and I've seen this year, is Dave Ramsey running the XA Falcon in sports sedans in the State Series. So he's getting this awesome exposure via the big platform that is the Historic Racing Register Festival of Speed here this weekend, and of course in 2026 the what is now the Penrite 100 Classic, the Phillip Island event, getting plenty of track time. And just, they've built this car as a tribute car, but hey, it fits into so many other regulations. Talking about tribute cars, and we were just talking about it before coming on air, the Federation Camel Moffat tribute has got, a family member of Ford royalty on board.
Exactly.
There, Tabitha Ambrose this weekend. Isn't she enjoying her historic racing in a Holden at Winton and a Ford here?
Look, at Winton, she ran around in Craig Bowring's ex-Warren Cullen A9X four-door, and now, here she's in Graham Stevenson, and Graham's out there in the John English white and blue XD. But, Graham said, put her in, why not? She's, as you said, royalty, her father's royalty to Ford fans. And what was interesting was the public outcry at Tabitha in a Holden. At least now all the Ford fans are back on board that she's in a Falcon.
So this is a super sprint. This isn't a rolling start. So it is rolling, but we've had the safety car just letting these cars get a bit of a look around and see what the track conditions are all about. I do like the John English car, and in fact, if you want to tune into the Grassroots Racing podcast, which is housed at Speed Cafe or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts at, check out the Grassroots Racing podcast, because John English talks about this car very, very fondly for quite some time in that podcast. But certainly that the Pi audio car, famous with John at the big race, the big dance at Mount Panorama. So it is very interesting. In fact, there's quite a few of these races here this weekend that have been on the Grassroots Racing podcast. Well worth tuning into as we everyone just very gingerly finding their way around, aren't they?
They sure are, mate. And look, this little Escort, how good would it be out there? That's the giant killer today, but you've got this thing. This thing's a weapon. It's well suited. It's well set up. It's fast, and it looks good. Phil Davis has got this car really well set up. He's spent a lot of time and effort getting it right. So, and he's not shy in giving it a crack. Same as Dave. And Dave runs around in Vic V8s as well.
Yep, certainly does. And I reckon this one here is going to be one that we're going to see trickle its way up through the chart. I just actually noticed something on the BMW, Adrian Brady out there. Now, we're used to seeing back in that era I'm just trying to think of the German script. It was the drink you have shots of.
Jägermeister.
Jägermeister.
Yeah.
I just noticed the window sticker on the red BMW, and I'll wait until we see it on the screen and just happen a chance to see what it says across the front of the screen. But they've used the script to say something else.
I'll have a look now.
Yeah, I like it. Everyone will be waiting for it to see that red BMW. But let's have a look. The initial lap time, which has come down for car number 53, is a 140.88. So we'll see how that starts to improve. Obviously a Brock liveried VK.
And this car's part owners, Matt Huff, he's part owners in this car, and they share it from one event to the next. And it's just a great way for two guys to have some fun in a car. I suppose the only problem would come if someone bins it, then the other bloke won't be real happy. But anyway.
Yeah, and I've got to say there's a fair bit more elaborate bar work in the back of this thing compared to what they had in the Group A era, which I'm all for, because the safer these things can be, the better,
absolutely.
Is in my opinion. But the Escort, as you said, being wheeled around, Tabitha just gingerly taking those corners. It is tricky. There's why it's tricky. Have a look at the water hanging in the air. The wind is almost gone. The flags here now are just sort of quite limp on the flag posts. Of course, we're just keeping an eye on that. But this car being driven quick as.
Yeah, and Adam Jones, he's going through the COD process. This car, that little Datsun 240, it raced back in the day, and Adam's trying to get that sorted through the Motorsport Australia process. So it's just one of those cars that he's trying to get up and running, but it's a quick little car, and Adam's thoroughly enjoying coming out and running with these guys.
Certainly is. And, just starting to feel a little bit wet underfoot there. What do we got going on with the 93 there? Just moving around. Or is he waiting for his mate in the FOMO car to range up alongside and no, going retiring?
Yeah.
Heading up the road there. So and this car in itself is interesting as well. It's a livery that it's not a Moffat Works livery. It's not anything like that. It's been plucked out of a photo somewhere and gone, you know what, I like that.
Well, that's right. And if you look at the, I think it's in 74 that Kev Bartlett won the Bathurst 1000, and I mean, I'll be wrong now that I've said that, but with Gossie. But I mean, that ran as blue when it won at Bathurst, but he's chosen the yellow colour scheme, so something different again.
Tabitha Ambrose having a handful here with a BMW M3 all over the rear here. I've got to say, I do appreciate an M3, particularly in this sort of era, the E30 style, and you can see it there, Hangover Motorsport.
Oh, absolutely.
Written all across the top of the screen, and done in, I'm going to say, an old style European font there, whatever that might be. And here comes the other one of the coupes as well. 3 coupes out there today, hey? That's the hardtop XC of Tabitha.
Well, that's right. And if you want to see XA, XB, XC Falcon coupes running, this is the only category that you'll see those cars out there, because there's about 5 of them that have been built, guys that are popular. There's a fella this weekend in a Gagan XA. That's a brand new build. He's running around in Regularity until he sort of gets his feet before he comes out and runs with these guys. So there's some really cool cars out there.
Roger Trezise lining up behind one tribute Moffat car to another. And
exactly.
I get it. I get the popularity of Alan Moffat, the hard man of Australian motorsport, right up until he wasn't.
Exactly. And, it's good that they're 2 different cars. Like, there's really no double ups, if you like, there's a couple, but in these Moffat ones there's no double ups.
I tell you what is interesting, and it's only just come to my attention, is how much the Moffat Ford dealers didn't use up the whole side of the car. They squeezed it into a little area, whereas you look at the Federation insurance sign, fills the flanks.
Exactly.
It is interesting how those different liveries transpired back in the era. There's the ex-John English tribute just coming onto the straight in the Pi audio.
I mean, if you put these 2 as Cobra cars, it'd be like Bathurst 77 over, wouldn't it?
It would be. The your genuine 1-2 finish, hey? Yeah.
Oh, he's got sideways there.
Can you ever see Bathurst doing that again? Like the people forming them up to do that? It's just run too hard to the wire now, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if you go by this year, I mean, how could you have done it?
Yeah, you could.
Same conditions, but that's about it. But it'd be pretty cool though.
Yeah, I think we're going to be waiting a while. I think maybe the 888s of this world could try and orchestrate it, but they have to run very, very hard all day long to get themselves in a position where they're out in front. The interesting other thing is between the XA and the XC is the bobtail type rear wing rather than an off the bonnet or off the boot type rear wing as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And this one, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And I was about to say that. You look at the XA, it's got nothing at all. So, and I mean, it's a shame that the weather's been this way. We've got a couple of cars that aren't out there at the moment. A couple of guys were planning on being here and had a couple of issues. Like there was Paddy Kirby, who normally runs. He's one of our regulars, and with his V in Group A, and unfortunately he couldn't make it. And then there's Nick O'Higgins, who's hurt his knee, and he can't be here at the moment. So,
g'day, Nick. Hope you're going all right, mate. I don't know what those guys have done and sold that Corolla out from underneath you, but we hope you repair well, mate.
So, there's we've got Phil Jones, who's back out there. He must have got it running again. So, there's some really cool cars that are around. So, we just hope to get more and more out there as the category continues to grow. And, we've most of the guys have kept the cars reasonably close to what they were in the period, no more than, that sort of 6-litre capacity engine-wise, and, kept them at 4-speed if they're 4-speed. Some of them have gone to a 5-speed, but, that's just the ease of parts in today's world compared to trying to, keep them stock.
What would be interesting, and particularly in the instance of the VH, is trying to keep a 308 going these days, and instead dropping an LS or something like that in there, where you can buy a crate motor out of the States for not a whole lot. You don't have to try and chase around an out of balance 308 and try and make it work for you. But certainly, the car looks fantastic, and just watching them circulate around.
And that's part of the problem with cars like this. I mean, getting those period parts right. Even running at Cleveland now these days is expensive to build and keep on track.
I reckon the cool thing is, like Ray Gulson and John English and Geisler and the other co-driver of this car, seeing these cars, they might have only done a couple of touring car rounds in a Bathurst together, and there's someone rebirthing the car that they drove.
That's exactly right. And they're not a Moffat or a Brock or a Johnson. They're just everyday guys that were able to have a bit of fun in a car.
And that can be, and I can say, as we've done nearly 75 of the Grassroots Racing podcast, our first question we ask every guest is, what's your first memory? And about 93% of them, and we've done the number on this, is sitting on the couch with Dad watching Bathurst at Mount Panorama. And they're not talking about the 12-hour or the 6-hour. They're talking about this era in the 1000. And I wonder where we'd be as a sport if it wasn't for sitting on the couch with Dad watching the 1000.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yep.
That's for sure. And most of these guys are choosing a lost livery as well. Cars that are not out there racing in Group C or Group A, or cars that are sitting in museums. Most of them are a lost livery, which is even better because it's the car that, you'll never see again.
Phil Jones has gone fastest. Let's have a look at the competition aspect of this, not the teary-eyed emotional stuff that we're getting caught up in here. Ramsey has gone through in the number 51. That is the 72 XA Coupe in the yellow and red, who's getting a lot of racing, as he said, in sports sedans and big V8s. Then it's the 95 going through there of Ian Smith. That's the Brock liveried HDT or Holden VK, and that's a 146.64. The 21 coming through, it's another one of the Commodores 1994. That's the Pinnacle Motorsport white VR that I think it was that we were looking at. So that's got through and just been knocked out of the top four by the 87, and that is Matt Huff, also in a VK Commodore. So they're just starting to feel their way around here, and we haven't actually had any rain physically fall out of the sky for the best part of about 30 minutes or so now. So I'm not going to say there's a dry line because they're still pushing spray out the side of the car. We're just watching Phil have a red hot crack here. This is pretty cool to watch, actually. He's not holding back right now.
And Phil used to be an Australian go-kart champion prior to this, so he's got some good, skill about him as a driver, which is, why he's so fast.
And that's the end of the session. The checkered flag has been dropped on the field now, so for all intents and purposes, the fastest car on track is that one that just got the checkered flag, and that was Phil Jones, 134.74. Tabitha Ambrose comes to the line. She's just jumped up one on Rachel Zeiss, and she is in position 9 with a 158.27. What a big hulking piece of car when you've just stepped out of a Formula Ford.
Absolutely. She's doing a fantastic job, and Tabitha's come on board as a VHRR junior this year. So from our club perspective, it's great to have young girls, emerging motorsport drivers to come on board and and share her knowledge as well to others. So it's just fantastic. And here's Graham, the owner of that Falcon Coupe.
Car looks a ripper. Gee, the Castrol GTX. How many cars of that era had that on their headlights? It was a popular sticker handed out when you got your free bottle of oil at the local parts joint, wasn't it?
Oh, it certainly was.
As we just get a look at this Datsun as well. Where has Adam Jones ended up? Adam Jones, six. A 151. So that's pretty cool.
And again, the rain is the equaliser.
Isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one, and they're still with GTX on the headlights there. So a product known very, very well indeed. And the 95 just getting through here. That's Ian. That's Smith getting through there as well. Ian Smith in the VK, and just bumped up to third on that lap number 7. So it looks like everyone got most of their quick laps done on lap number 6. Couple in 7. So everyone basically got 9 laps in that super sprint, and Jones takes out super sprint number 1 for the weekend here at the Sandown Historics for 2025. Brett, thank you so much for your knowledge, your description, and from all of those that enjoy this sort of thing, your commitment to the cause.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. And I'll be definitely back tomorrow if you want me. So
certainly, it's something different, and people are really starting to sit up and take notice of it. As we still see Pete Manson bringing the Escort Coupe. In fact, we just lost the timing screen there to see where the Escort will finish up, but he's continuing on around through turn 4. Brett, thank you. We've got still got plenty of racing still to go here today. The MG invited British cars up next with historic touring cars, and then the HQs will round out our competition. The Group C and A tribute cars will be on at 11:45, so you can have a sleep in, mate.
yeah, no worries. I'll see you then.
Excellent.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Back soon. Cars on track now for the MG and invited British racing cars. A whopping field, nearly 25 cars have fronted up for the Penrite 100 years celebration. The MG and invited British cars make up so much fantastic racing right throughout the season here on the historic scene, of course, in the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships and a number of other events around the country. Chris Gidney has joined us from the MG Racing, and Emma Dean has jumped on for this one as well. Chris, welcome, and of course welcome to the field of MG and invited British cars.
Thanks, Darren. Thanks for having us here, and hopefully we're going to see a great race. We've got a very mixed grid after a very wet qualifying. So let's see how this one plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. The grid comes down. Jason Edwards will be staring at an open track, and I would suggest probably for the first time sitting on pole position.
Yeah, he's walking around the pits, head held very high today. So we'll see how he takes the pressure up against the multiple-time champion Phil Chester right beside him.
Yeah, you've got to wonder how Phil's going to handle this. So he sits on position number 2. Trevor Dunford behind there as well. Paul Ziddy on debut in the MGs out there in the Bridge Builders Youth Charity entry. Put wheels on it and he will come. Paul Ziddy, a Formula Ford competitor of note. Richard Milligan in the MGB GT Roadster. Michael Trathen in the midget. Murray Stevenson, he's got the lid on. It's probably going to be one of the better weekends to have your lid on. Rod Wells, Simon Elliott is well down the field there, of course, in the wet qualifying. So we'll keep an eye out in the RV8. He's down there. David Bajan has done more laps. So has Chris Relf than anyone here already this weekend. And great to have Robin Bailey an entrant, but hasn't made his way out on track.
No, Robin made a call on the conditions, I think, with not doing much this year. I think it's safer to make the call this year to save the car. This is going to be pretty treacherous and come back tomorrow when it's better conditions. I think we're pretty set for a start here.
Great to see Gary Bulmer in there as well.
And yet, Chris, you say that, but you'd love to be out there today. We thought you'd want a day off.
I would like to be out there, but I'm stuck here, so.
Stuck.
Well, certainly great to have you here, Chris, because there's going to be lots of questions about all of the different sorts of vehicles here as well. And right down the rear of the field is the Stag. Car number 40, Keith Ondaatje. Alana Ondaatje down there as well. And Keith just easing away from the line. But it will be Phil Chester that heads the field into turn number 1. And he's going to make it very difficult to get past that bewinged MGB GT. And have a look at the charge here. Jason Edwards just relinquishing a couple of spots as Trevor Dunford comes streaming through there as well, and ever present. Look who's lurking in the background. You can hardly say he's like a great white shark. He's more like a gummy shark circling around. But the bite that comes out of Michael Trathen when he wants to, perfect conditions. You reckon your car's good, wouldn't he be? Right in the sweet spot.
Yeah, his car's even better. He was actually quite lucky not to make it to qualifying. He's had some misfire problems this morning and yesterday, so he got it to the marshalling area with only a couple of minutes to go. So to be running up in the top 4 there, great effort from Mark.
Have a look at the RV8. It is pulled out of behind. Is that... not sure who that is that he's pulled out from behind there, but certainly in the mist standing out. There's Michael Trathen, car number 1. Paul Ziddy has just gone back a couple of spots off the line. You'd have to expect that. He hasn't started a race in this sort of vehicle.
No, that's right. And the Fs, they're very quick off the line when you can get them off the line, but they do have a bit of an art to them. So I'm sure Paul will have worked out all the things he needed to work out from that one with the experience that he's got. And tomorrow we'll see that thing launching from...
He does like this event. It was only a little while ago that he fronted up in an Elfin Clubman as well in a regularity event. So that was an invitation drive as well to the now celebrity racer of Paul Ziddy as he continues on and probably enjoying, being that he normally races a Formula Ford. There's tough conditions for a Formula Ford as he draws alongside Michael Trathen, and Michael Trathen's going, who's in this F that's having a crack at me? Just ducks back in behind. And there is, just trying to catch Richard Milligan in the back of shot there. They must be a tricky piece of kit when it's like this.
Yeah, you can just imagine. They're not the heaviest of cars, but they've got so much power. And that was Elliott's problem in qualifying. He just couldn't get any temperature.
Paul Ziddy hangs thick there with Michael Trathen and goes through on the inside here. He has to just allow that to occur because Paul Ziddy wanted the corner way more. Richard Milligan now ranging up in behind. And I've said it many times before, I used to come to the racetrack to specifically see this MG Roadster. And it is always a magnificent piece of kit to see on track. They're going to go side by side across the top of the hill. What is the advantage of the F over a midget in this instance, Chris?
The F being mid-engine has very good balance in the wet weather. And just the engineering of them, they've just built a very good wet weather driving car. And you can see it's proof in the pudding. They're running 2, 3, 4 at the moment.
Yeah, so there's a couple more back down through the field. The Chester girls, they've been running very, very nicely. Although I think we've only got Kayleen here this weekend, haven't we?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, she's out there. And this is amazing. Have a look at these two cars. 1300cc versus 5 litre. And they come down the straight, and Richard hardly drives by. You would expect that he might just drive by, but the horsepower gets applied. Michael Trathen knows exactly what he has to do in the twisty bits.
So, Chris, can you tell us, we just touched on a couple of the different variations in the MGs. With the MGs and the Triumphs all combined, what's your pick in these conditions and why?
For what car I would want to be in?
Yeah, apart from your own, really, because that's been stated a few times.
Apart from the obvious of Phil Chester's car, I would go one of the MGFs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so why? Because of what you were saying to Darren before?
Oh! There you see it. Note the day.
Nice one. 360. Well done. Get it going.
That is at 4:20 on Saturday afternoon. Michael Trathen spun the first time in 3 decades. And in the wet too, so he was trying. And that looks like one of the Stags is parked up down there. That would probably be Alana, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that does look like Alana's car pulled off to the side there.
Keith continues on, albeit down in 18th position. He has made up a couple of spots in car number 40. But here's this battle. This is probably where we're going to see this action. And they come out underneath the Penrite Bridge. And in the background, ordinarily in dry conditions, there's Richard Milligan and Elliott would have pretty much just made a big impression by now and driven away. In fact, I think we've lost. No, Simon Elliott, they're in position number 7. And Phil Chester has done and driven away at the front of the field. Although I would suggest, Chris, that maybe Phil's skill and experience has risen to the fore here to be able to muscle that high-powered, bewinged MGB GT V8. It's experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And Phil did call time on qualifying quite early, so who knows what would have happened if he stayed out with. But he still qualified P2, so But yeah, a lot of experience, a lot of these conditions. Jason Edwards has a fair bit of experience as well, but in relativeness is quite new to the game compared to Phil.
Just getting a good look now. This is position 3 and 4 on the road, and in the background, the interesting thing is Murray Stevenson in the big sedan. And Murray started out as 7th, and he went back, but he's still maintaining that 7th spot. David Bajan also, he started out of 11th, and David has jumped up a couple. We've seen David already on track twice today, so did the regularity and was in the TT, so he's getting used to it. There's the Stag in the background. Keith Ondaatje at the wheel, talking about wrestling horsepower, wrestling overall dynamics in a Stag in the wet conditions, doing a tremendous job trying to recover from, I would suggest not heading out in qualifying. But he is that would be a very big handful trying to just get him to the back. You like it right there, number 6, Chris.
That's right up my that are to see Jim John out there. P16, pretty good. He's in a good little battle pack, and yeah, he's going to make a move up the inside of Bunyan, and they're coming up to the top of the hill here. So we'll see if he can hold it on the inside. He should be able to, but no, it looks like Bunyan on this angle has got a car length or two over the top of him. So that Keith is really catching up to the back of these two now. You're right, though. I can't imagine that thing would be a handful in the dry, let alone the wet like this.
Yes, it is. The Ondaatjes do like their Stags, and I've got to applaud them for that, because I like to see a Stag being raced, and they do a great job. And what a fantastic way to go to a sport with your family. Everyone buy a Stag and let's go racing.
Yeah, it's really cool to see, and I think it's only going to be a matter of years until Alana's son Asher is out there as well. He's always hanging around the pits, checking tyre pressures, doing up wheel nuts.
I've seen him having a sideways look at the 40 as well. He's always looking at the 40 and going, "Hey, Keithy boy, how'd you get? Let me have a go." We're probably a few years away from that happening yet, as Richie Milligan charging. There he is. There it is, the number 40, the silver with the red detail stripes across the top of the car there, taking a couple of yellow cars, MGB and a Triumph there as well. Car number 78 of Gordon Bunyan, a guy that has, I couldn't tell you how many laps he's done in that car. Chris, been around for some time.
Yeah, probably a million, I would say.
Yeah, a million. Pluck a number. We'll go. Sounds like a 5-year-old. 3 billion. Just pick a number. We've got our race leader now, car number 72, 12.4 seconds over Jason Edwards. They both started on the front row of the grid. Car number 260, some 12 seconds back. The TR in front here. This is another car that with given development. I love the fact that it's got the silver bullet across the windscreen, although I will argue that is the centerline suspension RX-7 sports sedan, but there can be more than one silver bullet. But a TR7 V8, what a piece of kit from the Triumph garage, that's for sure.
Yeah, we haven't seen Ian join us for a while, so it's great to see Ian come out and join us for this event. So hopefully he can join us for a few more rounds next year. And Phil's just plucking away, isn't he? Putting the laps away.
You know what? I never thought I'd hear myself describe an MG as looking menacing, but somehow Phil has made that BGT V8 look really menacing, and it's definitely menacing when it's in your rear.
I think it's great that it's got LED headlights on it as well, so it doesn't have Lucas Prince Darkness headlights in it. He's got very bright Le Mans style of flashes on the front of this car. Chris, there's a lot going on in the background of MG racing now, with a bit of change of thought, a different approach to try and open the field up. I guess the MG thing we know, but and invited British cars, trying to open the world up to invite more cars, and dare I say it, TVRs, different other British cars to coming along?
Yeah, so as of 2026 season, the invited British sports car will be dropped, and it'll be invited British, so touring car, like style of cars can come along. So hopefully that allows us to open up a bit more. And the year of acceptance, the cut-off year, has been raised from 1990 to 2000.
So we could see minis, things like that, starting to be accepted?
So obviously a British touring car. Then, maybe even like an early Lotus Elise as well. There's still obviously an application program you've got to follow to submit it to the committee. And if that's proven to be okay and it fits in all the rules and the guidelines and within the spirit of the category, well then you'll get invited along and can come join the fun.
Is there a TVR? I've got a soft spot for TVRs.
Oh yeah, TVR.
Yeah.
The problem is this is a 6-lap race. It's going to challenge any TVR.
Well, yeah.
So
great to see one out in the.
Let's be nice. I do love a TVR. They are good, but certainly a Lotus Elise, like the Rover-engined Elises that came out in about 98, 97, that sort of thing. They would certainly be the right way to go. Have a look at this guy. We kind of doubted that the big MGB GTV8 could get a victory here in the wet conditions today, but we should never doubt a car that is being piloted by Phil Chester. A 142.19, his own lap record here, but a big congratulations to Phil as he heads off on his last lap in this race. And just up the road is a guy that's not going to want to see Phil Chester behind him, and that's the driver of car number 40. A couple of V8s going head-to-head with each other, but he has absolutely got the eyes on him. In fact, he's even turned the wiper off, or dare I say it, has the wiper stopped working?
It's a flip of a coin in an MG, isn't it, really, with the MG Electrics? So
not a lot of MG Electrics left in this one, but certainly Phil has. He's going that fast. The wind's just beading off the windscreen. But just going back onto the opening up of the rules, it's obviously there's 23 cars here today. We see sort of 15 to 17 in the state series as well. It's about securing the future, really, isn't it? Bringing more cars in, and let's see 35 cars on the grid.
Yeah, that's right. And like anything, you need to develop your base as well. So we've got to move with the times as well, and that's what it's all about. So moving that cutoff up, and it's going to be looked at every few years as well, whether that cutoff date moves forward along with the world. So we'll see how it goes, and then in the next couple of years, so we'll revisit and have another look at it again. But it should be really good. So opening the category up to some cars that don't really have a home at the moment, that are always looking to come and race, and hopefully those cars can come along and have some fun and secure the future of our grid.
Well, that's the point all over for grassroots racing too. There are so many cars, we keep talking about it, that are garaged up and boxed away and we don't get to see them. So it's a great way of getting more cars out. Fantastic.
And certainly this category is run by a very skilled group of people that know the sporting and commercial aspect of it. And there's a guy who is at the forefront in Victorian motorsport on both of those fronts, just taking the win there. Phil Chester in car number 72 takes out the first race for the weekend for MG and invited British cars as they come down. Keith Ndachi has already will take the checkered flag when he next comes around. Held off just enough there, but certainly Jason Edwards, who started on the front row of the grid in car number 260, slides into position number 2. A great drive there, and terrific to see. And we're seeing it right across all of our categories. It's going to be interesting next with the historic touring cars as well. Someone different in these conditions bobbing their head up.
Yeah, it's really good to see. That's nice to see the new faces and new cars get onto the podium. So it's great for Jason Edwards to get that result. And Paul Ziddy and Trevor Dunford, they were close, but Milligan popped them at the end. I guess the track got a bit drier as the race went on, and they was able to get the power down to the ground a bit better.
The interesting one there as well is Simon Elliott started out of 9th and stayed out of trouble areas across the line, gets home in 6th place. Let's focus for a second or two here, Chris. Let's drill down, because the MG and Invited British Racing Championship is so alive and well with 3 or 4 of these competitors at the top of the field, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So Phil Chester, Jason Edwards, Simon Elliott and Mike Trathen are all in contention this weekend. So Jason Edwards is probably on the back foot with our drop of your worst round rule. So that result really is going to push him back up in contention. So we'll see how this all plays out. my keyboard at work will be going pretty fast on Monday to do the point score, so we'll see how that all plays out.
Great to see Johnny Makem there as well. He got across the line there as well. I dare say he was commentating himself all the way to the line there as well. Loves a chat. If you want to go and have a look at an MG midget and get the history of everything about baseball, go down and have a chat to Johnny Makem and those guys down there. Of course, where did John get home? Just outside the top 20, 21st on there. And Alana and Darchi in behind him there. Where was car number 40, 12th? So Chester, Edwards, Milligan, Ziddy on debut in MGs just off the podium. Dunford, Elliott, Stevenson, Tratton, Bajan and Kayleen Chester. She gets home in 10th place. Bulmer and Darchi rounding out the 12 as cars still trickling their way around, coming back into the pit and paddock area. And again, a really strong field of cars. I certainly suggest to anyone that might be here at the track, or if you're watching on the live streaming here for the Equity One VHRR 2025 Historic Sandown, come and have a look at these MGs and invited British cars when you get to the track. Thank you very much, Chris and Emma. And Chris, thank you for giving us the explanation. We'll touch on it a bit more again tomorrow. I think it's well worth talking about the opportunity to come and race with you guys.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me. And yeah, we'll chat further tomorrow and hopefully 2 more great races tomorrow afternoon.
Terrific. Thank you, Chris. We will take a quick break here at the 2025 Victorian Historic Racing Register Historic Sandown. The return of Thunder. And let me tell you, the return of Thunder is referencing the cars on track next. The historic touring cars, back in a moment.
Thanks again, Darren. It might be the historic weekend of 50 years of celebrating the Holden versus Ford rivalry, but walking around the paddock with the amount of Commodores on display, I think the Holdens are winning at the moment. And here I am with another one that goes right back with a real racing history, an Alan Grice special. I'm talking to Ed Singleton, who's the owner of this pristine old STP VH Commodore. Mate, looking at this thing, it's another one that's straight out of the showroom, but I believe it's got a good history behind it.
It certainly has. It started racing in 1982, so it's been almost running for 40 seasons. In period, it crashed all the time, so it got nicknamed Elvis, more hits than Elvis. Alan Grice talked about that on Racecam in 1983, and still got a sticker on the dash that you can see when it had Racecam in it, talking about it being Elvis.
So when did you take delivery of it?
I took delivery. I've been racing this car for 15 years. So I got it in 2009 and it had been restored as we see it here today. We did a full mechanical refresh and I've unfortunately kept up its reputation. So I've had a couple of big ones in it. So Grand Prix 2015 was pretty ugly. It had to have the front cut off it, the back cut off it and new ones grafted on. It was a big one.
Concrete walls don't mix, do they?
They do not. They do not. And in front of a Grand Prix crowd, it was a little bit embarrassing.
I bet you got a few cheers, though.
No, not quite. I was more worried about my wife watching at home on television. Had to quickly ring her and tell her I was okay.
So did you go out hunting for this car in particular?
It probably found me more than anything. Talking about the Holden versus Ford weekend down here, I was all set on getting a Falcon hardtop. It's all I wanted to race, from remembering the 77-12. But in the end, the Commodore, as this one came up, got recommended to me, went and had a look at it. And of course the iconic livery, everyone knows and remembers STP. Few people can tell you actually what it is, but scientifically treated petroleum. But yeah, it found me, I bought it, and I've had such fun in it.
So what was the condition of it like when it was in pretty good condition when you got it?
This car, the body had been restored. Mechanically it was tired, so we refreshed all the running gear, but this category and the way we have to run them, they're exactly the same specification when they raced back in the 80s. So it's reasonably simple to rebuild one. They're only about 400 horsepower, give or take, and 4-speed gearbox, Salisbury rear end, very straightforward car to run and maintain.
So have you tweaked the engine very much, or with the rules you can't?
No, we can't within the rules. It's built really well, so it's got as well as it can be built, but we're not allowed to port the heads, we're not allowed to do anything really. It's got to have a standard Holden inlet manifold, standard capacity. All our engines are sealed in the class, so you've got to run to those period regulations.
And you'll be continuing it for a while, you reckon?
Well, yeah, I love it. I'm in my early 50s, maybe mid 50s, Been doing it for 15 years. I reckon I've got at least another 15 in me.
As long as you get the adrenaline rush going, that's the main thing.
Well, that's right. And it's living vicariously through a car like this. It's great. It's all about the car. I come and race them. You know, people know it's Elvis. They don't know who Ed Singleton is. So it's very much about keeping these great old cars running and on track.
Well, keep up the buzz, mate.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. And here's another history lesson for you, Darren, but I'm sure you know just as much about it as what Ed does. Back to you.
Welcome back trackside here, and when the Victorian Historic Racing Register returned the Thunder, I'm pretty sure someone was looking out of the corner of their eye at historic touring cars. But I tell you what, in qualifying trim in the wet, the cars that make the Thunder have been just a little bit gazumped by the ones that can apply their power nicely. So we've seen a little bit of a mix-up in qualifying. I'm Darren Smith. Don't be confused with the legend that has just walked into the booth here with me, Darren Knight. All things.
Calm down, Darren.
All things historic. He's living up to his grumpy moniker. No, lovely bloke. Just so much to learn from you about this style of racing, Darren. And always, as I said, Return of Thunder, it's got to be secretly about these guys, doesn't it?
Certainly does, Darren. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone here at the circuit, undercover in the grandstand. Make sure you come down, folks, if you're local, because there is no charge whatsoever to sit in comfort at the grandstand here at Sandown Raceway for the Return of the Thunder. And good afternoon, everyone also watching on the V8 Sleuth YouTube channel. The first race of the weekend for historic touring cars. Massive field, Darren. We saw a huge two-car grid at the Bend Classic only 2 weeks ago. But nevertheless, a great entry here only 2 weeks later for Sandown Historics. It really is an absolute privilege to race here at Sandown, this historic racing circuit. And some of these models of cars really made a name for Sandown and their drivers over the years, Darren.
They certainly have, and it really is a great turnout. 34 cars fronted up here this weekend. I'm actually here to see this car, surprisingly, car number 43, Pete Muehlman, do a tremendous job. A little bit outclassed, a little bit of CC capacity up around him, but he works very, very hard at getting it right, starting out of position number 12. Out of pole position. Not a surprise there, although be it in the wet, still did a tremendous job. Aldo Pioli in the Camaro. Trevor Talbot will be right alongside with Andrew Baird and Les Walmsley. Great run.
How's
for
that,
Les.
Darren? Les Walmsley in a Cortina GT. Yep. It's not even a twin cam. There is number 99, the two-door white Cortina. Fourth quickest in qualifying. Absolutely amazing performance from Les Walmsley in the wet. Absolute demon. Set that lap on his second lap. Most of the other guys were doing their quick laps, 6 or 7 laps in. His second lap out there, he came out behind Aldo De Paul in the Camaro. The Camaro didn't get away from him. Absolutely amazing performance from Les.
And what is more interesting as well is just out in the field with him as well will be a couple of other of these little Lotus type Cortinas as well. So we'll just run through them quickly. Mike Michelli, of course, in the number 69 fastback Mustang. Darren Jones, John Harrison, Scott Pearce, Kim Shern. And so John Harrison in one of the Cortinas just off the other side of the track there as well, as is there we go. Yep, there it is. There they are, the two Cortinas there as well. And there's Pete Muehlman in the number 43 Mustang. Ian Mewett, Ben Wilkinson, Richard Hill, Jeff Mundy, right down there in 16th, the guy that runs at the front of the field in historic touring cars in the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. Phil Barrow, David Brown in the Datsun down there. Steve McKay, Don Knight out of position number 20. Chris Finlayson, Bill Trengove out of 22. That's a long way down for Bill to be. Dave Roberts, Michael George. Great to see Michael out there in the number 63. Fantastic to have him in the field as they continue to line up. And we look back, Jeff Pike, Max McKay, Stuart Barnes, and we are away.
Good start from Andrew Beard off the second run of the grid in the silver Camaro. He will get in front of our pole sitter, Aldo De Paoli. Look at the start from Beard. That silver and black Camaro has rounded up Talbot and De Paoli, who really took it easy off the line. Daniel Van Strockham also a great start in his dearly missed late father's yellow and black Ford Mustang. His first meeting behind the wheel of the Ford there. He's right behind the yellow Camaro of Trevor Talbot. Just the car getting squirrely in that big puddle there as they head down to turn 2 for the first time.
Have a look at that. Les Walmsley grabbed second gear and drove up into second position. It wasn't until the cars as the 69 of Michelli goes very sideways, but Les, unfortunately, by the time he'd got the third gear and everyone else had selected third, just nothing short of cubic inches. It's not called the Homer horsepower for nothing when you've got that big run down to turn 1. But Les will stick the nose in. You won't miss him. You'll see the white nose of that Cortina all race long, having a red hot go. Side by side at the top of the hill, you've got the Ford and the Chevy.
Michael Michelli up into third place, gets around the Camaro of Trevor Talbot down into the Dandenong Road S's for the first time. So good move there from Michelli. Van Strockham in 5th behind Talbot. Talbot on screen now, the number 76, 68 model Chevy Camaro. So a few generations of the Camaros out there. Our race leader now is De Paoli. He's got past Andrew Beard. We're just waiting for him to come back into view. There's Michelli in 3rd in the Mustang. Yes, De Paoli into the lead. Andrew Beard back to 2nd.
Just watching in the back of shot there, we got a good look at Joe Collegia as well. Joe should be in tune with the conditions there. He is in the orange and black striped entry. He should be used to the conditions. He was out in his big block Corvette in Group S earlier. So let's keep an eye out for Joe Collegia, the guy from Apex Steel, one of the great contributing partners here this weekend and indeed across the historic racing scene here in Victoria. But out in front now, the 196 of Aldo De Paoli just absolutely driving the wheels off it. Great start from Andrew Baird in the 86 car there. And this is 2 of the General's products really doing a terrific job. But look who is ranging behind him, a guy that knows almost more than everyone. Aldo Paoli
on the back straight sideways,
snaking his way around turn 5. You gotta love that, Daz.
I think they call that a sphincter moment, don't they?
Oh, yeah, but keeping into it.
No fear from the West Australian. Look at him through the Dandenong Road S's. Had a great run at the Bend a couple of weeks ago. I was looking at the man in second place, Andrew Beard. So Beard is behind him, but Aldo had a great run at the Bend Classic a couple of weeks ago. Was a win and 3 second places. And he's continuing on that strong form now. So Chev Camaro 1-2 with Michelli in the Ford right behind them.
What is it with Western Australian Camaro drivers and cranking it sideways? Paul Stubber, famous for doing that as well. I guess when you've done a lot of your racing against Paul Stubber, you can drag some of those habits into your driving, can't you? Osmosis. And turn it on and off as you like.
Osmosis, I think.
Yeah.
So 350 Chevs under the bonnet for the Camaros. 302 Boss for Michael Michelli, the man in 3rd place at the moment. 2 engine configurations you can run with the 69 Fastback in Group N. 351 Windsor is by far the more populous of the powerhouses for the Ford, but Michael Michelli is stuck to the traditional 302 Boss for his number 69 machine. Here's Trevor Talbot, the man in 4th place in his early model Chevy Camaro.
Ooh, look at this, Joe Collegia under pressure now, the charging number 68, and that is coming through. That's Chef Mundy coming through from 16th, so he is absolutely pushing for it.
And Mewett, the Queenslander, puts a move on Joe Collegia down into turn 2 and gets that place. So Mewett coming through the order after starting fairly back down through the order than what he's usually used to in these wet conditions. Quite unfamiliar for the Queenslanders. But he's coming through the order now, just rounding up Collegia on that lap.
Have a look at this. These Cortinas, they've got their class their own in these very, very trying conditions indeed. Les Walmsley started on the front row now, second row now into 7th place.
John Harrison in the purple machine, number 89, has got through on Les Walmsley. So a very good battle developing here between the 2 pushrod powered Cortinas of Harrison and Walmsley.
So these aren't overhead Cam ones. Okay, wow. That's even more credit to these two, isn't it?
Yep, the old trusty pushrod, 1598, so almost 1600 cc's, and they're starting to put the pressure on Darren Jones in the Ford Mustang. The GT's a little bit less peaky power delivery compared to the twin cam Cortinas, which can be a bit of a handful on the wet circuits.
Great shot there, right back down through the straight. Some of the main contenders. You can really look right down through the top 20 and pick a race winner from any one of them here this weekend. It's a really classy field, experienced field of race drivers. Pete Muellerman now up into 6th place in the NB car number 43. That's the black roof just disappearing out of shot at turn 4. Good look at Les Walmsley. A mini in the mix there. A couple of minis. They would like to see the rain absolutely teeming down, wouldn't they?
Yes, Steve McKay in the yellow Coupe S there in front of the Mustang of Ben Wilkinson and the earlier model Mustang of Bill Trengrove. I think he might be grit limited here, Ben Wilkinson. Of course, took some victories here at the corresponding meeting last year in much drier conditions. So pretty certain Benny is running the drier tyre now as he's fighting for grip in the silver machine number 189.
Just looking for where Stephen McKay is in the field. He's not in the top 10. Just looking to try and get glean off our timing screen where 16th. Okay, so that's going well with Bill Trengove in behind. There's the 68 of Jeff Mundy. He's pushing very, very hard indeed. Now inside the top 10. Started 16th. Can be tricky, even though you do have the more horsepower underneath you in these conditions to use it to great advantage. We're just getting a good look at Joe Collegia in the number 44. Magnificently prepared car.
Yeah, a car originally built by Perry Spirides. Joe purchased it some years ago now, and initially was putting a few drivers in that car when he was driving his Corvette. David Reynolds raced it a couple of times, Phillip Island, and also at Winton. And now it's good to see Joe behind the wheel of his own car.
Did John Bowe drive this one at one stage?
I think you're correct, Darren.
I think he might have.
Yep. John will drive anything.
And has acted as a driving coach for Joe Collegia for quite some time as well. So that would certainly make sense. Good look at the number 21, and that's Pierce out there, currently sitting in 12th position. Started out of 10th, Scotty did, but just gone back a couple of spots, and I would suggest that Mundy coming through has helped that as well. A fair bit more experience on board.
Yeah, Scott Pearce, a newcomer to the category, still running the P plates. So with racing rules, of course, you have to compete a number of meetings before you get signed off. Then you're allowed to take those P plates off. Chris Finlayson, the number 6 Cooper S. He's a great battle between Phil Barrow in the FJ Holden, Don Knight in the Cortina. And there's nothing more that Phil likes than beating Cortinas, Darren. He just absolutely loves it.
Well, there's a decade or two between them as well. So the racing here, Eddie Dobbs springs to mind in his many years of driving that sort of similar shape. I think FE that Eddie Dobbs drove there as well. And big shout out to Eddie. I know he'll be watching if he's not here at the track. Still loves to see the Group N race cars go around, or even right back to the Appendix J, which is what this car would be representative.
Certainly would. Barrow continues to lead Knight, Finlayson, Rob Burns and his Camaro well down the order. Very young in its driving, with Burnsy behind the wheel, still developing that car. As our race leader on screen, Aldo De Paoli in the Camaro, so it's still a Camaro 1-2. Looks like Daniel Van Stockham has had an issue. He's dropping down the order, unfortunately, in his Mustang.
Aldo De Paoli doing a tremendous job as we get a good look at the 196 Chargers underneath the Penrite Oils sign. Great to have Penrite on board with the VHRR for 2026 as well as here this weekend.
Michael Michelli now getting very close to our second place man, Andrew Beard, and that battle for second behind our race leader, De Paoli. There they are on screen. Beard, the silver Camaro, Michelli in the blue Mustang right on his tail.
Got one lap to do it. Last lap board now being displayed at the Crow's Nest and the entire field acknowledging that. Aldo Di Pioli has a bit of a look in the mirror there as well, just leaning across to make sure he's getting a full wide shot of the Camaro and the Mustang behind you here. But Michelli just done the fastest lap in the race, a 1:38, sorry, not just on lap 3. He is the fastest car on track as well, a 1:38.23. A good 2 seconds faster than Andrew Baird in that car in front. One thing to catch, and the 86 catches it, but I was going to say...
right on cue, Darren.
Yeah, thank you very much, Betty. I'll thank you for that one later on. But one thing to catch the car in front, and on the last lap, it's another thing to sneak on through, isn't it?
It certainly is. Here they are onto the back straight for the final time.
They got a bit of traffic too. In fact, they could catch some of these cars in the closing couple of corners around probably turns 10 and 11. Michelli goes wide.
On the outside, if you don't mind, Michael Michelli in the Mustang rounds up Andrew Beard up over the rise down into Dandenong Night Road corner for the final time.
Blue flags being waved frantically there by the officials to let them know that the late race leaders are on them, and this could change position again as we watch Michelli and Baird start to carve their way through some of these cars. Good mind to get out of the way there, but...
they're mixed up in their own battles, of course.
They? Yeah, absolutely. Got to find your way through, but try and do it safely. Aldo Pioli celebrates early, cracks it out sideways, thumb out the window to Paul Stubber saying, you should have been over here with me, mate.
And Michelli will just get home in front of Andrew Beard. They went either side of Chris Finlayson's Cooper S.
0.05 of a second at the end of the day between those two. But Michelli just does it over Baird. What a ripping start that Baird got, though. That was what set him up. It was Michelli's dogged determination, skill and ability, and years of experience that helped him through in the end. But a terrific drive there. Aldo Pioli, 3.2 seconds clear of Michael Michelli in the end. I guess the good thing about Michelli and Baird in that battle is that they'll pull their helmets off. Yes, they'll be dripping in sweat, but they'll have a smile.
They will. Michael will have a word. He talks as fast as he drives. Michael Michelli, one of the real characters of the pits, and haven't seen him that often this year. In fact, he had his first run at Winton for many, many years, the Winton Festival of Speed, so good to see Michelli having a very strong run here into second place. A bit of damage to the front of the Harrison Cortina too, Darren.
Yeah, there you go. We don't often see that in historic touring cars. One of the, I guess, the unwritten laws, Darren, is don't hit anyone. They're too expensive to fix, and sometimes you can't even find the fix part to fix it.
That is very true.
Let's have a look how our field rounded it out. Pioli in P1, Michelli, Baird, Talbot. Pete Mullerman home, got a couple of spots in the number 43 into position number 5. Jones, Harrison, Walmsley. Les eventually home there in 8th spot. Mewett and Monday rounding out the top 10 to Pierce, Collegia, Shern, Hill.
Yeah, Richard Hill, the quickest of the minis. That's no surprise. One of the quickest minis in the country, the green machine number 12.
And Stupka there in the Peugeot as well. We didn't see that one. Citroen, sorry, through the race. Always good. He has been the competitor in the oddball. Well, not oddball. Something different.
Weird.
He had the imp.
Weird.
Yeah, weird. The Citroen out of the French Touring Car Championship, of course, back in the day. Great to see the return of the Thunder and the group ends. I say that, and we're looking at a couple of little four-pot minis there as well. They can be thunderous. And when you actually look at the lap times, they're not hanging about either. Darren, thank you so much for bringing your Thunder and your knowledge to the call here today. The group ends, of course, or the historic touring cars will be on at 12:30 tomorrow, and then again at 4:50. So you can have a sleep in, mate.
Can I, please? Also, don't forget the 100-year celebration, the 100-year anniversary of Ford Australia, a special all-Ford race, and we'll see a lot of these cars we've just seen in historic touring cars join Ian Ross's XD Falcon, Terry Lawler's beautiful Group S GT350 Shelby, so it'll be great. And of course, Chris Jackson too, in one of my favourite cars out here, the Pantera. So Ford-powered machine, so that will certainly be great. That's around about 1 p.m. tomorrow.
Yeah, 1:25. 1:25. Daz, thank you so much. We'll see you again tomorrow for, well, as I said, you can have a sleep in. 12:30 is your first call.
Lovely. Well, don't forget, folks, if you are local, come down to Sandown tomorrow. There's less than 1 mil of rain forecast, which will be great because my boots are wet.
Yes.
And they're going to be wet for some time. But dry conditions forecast for tomorrow. You do not have to pay to go into the pits and talk to the drivers and abuse the commentators. You can come in for free. You don't have to pay to get in the grandstand either.
We offer the service to abuse commentators for free, do we? I'm going to put an invoice value on that.
People don't need an invitation as far as I'm concerned. They're quite often frequent with their advice. So come down to Sandown tomorrow, $50 to get in. You can sit in the grandstand, come down to the pits. But if you can't be here, of course, we'll be on the V8 Sleuth YouTube channel.
I certainly recommend you come down here. It's better in all dimensions, and certainly the grandstand is awesome here. You can see the whole track and enjoy a full day. Talking about awesome and seeing the full track, we've got one race to go, and it'll be the HQs. I reckon this is the ideal curtain closer. The HQs. Affordable racing will be on track in just a couple of moments.
Good, but scary.
I think it's a sense of community, a sense of purpose, of belonging, and a sense of pride.
Beaming smile and the happiness, it just makes it worthwhile.
We pride ourselves on running great track days, but this is the event that we love the most.
Making their way out on track as we welcome David Amor to the commentary booth. Dave, let's just keep a lid on this one, mate. You just close the day off. We've had a very hassle-free run up until this point. Let's just get a nice field of HQs through for the next race.
Well, mate, let's hope so, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, we're running around about 15 minutes early as well, Darren, so it's absolutely been fantastic. The classes have been able to keep themselves on the bitumen, which is the faster stuff. And it's certainly been wet and rainy. And I tell you what, mate, if we haven't had 30 mil this afternoon, I don't know what 30 mil looks like.
Yeah, and you're a guy from farming country, so you'd feel it in your bones every millimetre as it ticks on by, wouldn't you? So that is fantastic, and for tyre power, we see the HQs making their way around. Fantastic field of cars here. Andrew Magilton, a pole time of 153.00 in the wet, and absolutely brained them. And you know what? Gavin Ross is not a guy you think of when you think getting brained, but he did a 156.0, so that's 3 seconds behind. Gavin Ross is normally the one dealing out those 3 seconds to people, but he'll sit on P number 2. Stephen Banks, the fastest plumber. I think he takes over from Bob Gill as the fastest plumber in racing, doesn't he? That Bob left us not that long ago, so rest in peace, Bob Gill. Steve Banks out of position at number 3. John Mahoney in the number 81 is in there as well. Great to see John sitting there on the grid. Tony Maloney, don't get those two mixed up. I always do, Mahoney and Maloney, but the number 99 out of position number 5.
Certainly is actually really, really good there, doing extremely well on the bright green car. Then we've got Robert Patterson, real good fluoro-looking car. Brandon McLean is fairly early, fairly new at this stage and all that. And we've also got Stumpy Francis in the 89 car.
Back to Ray Jardine. Back to good to see Ray back behind the wheel. He hasn't been racing for the best part of 18 months or so. Has done a fair bit of work in the background just to bring the awareness of HQ racing around. He'll be starting out of position number 9 in car number 8. Ben Riches in the number 53, a guy that has done a fair bit of racing in recent times with HQs in the State Series as we see the cars starting to come to the line. Graham Francis back to Graham Crawford in the number 68. River Patterson, a name I haven't seen before. Andrew Lordsley and Mick Magilton in the number 75. Let's see how the car, number 10 out of position 13, River Patterson, goes in these damp conditions?
Mate, he's a Speedway young kid. He's only 17, Speedway. He's done it extremely well. His dad decided to put him into the spare car this weekend, the number 10 car, the orange car. So it's good to see some new blood there, mate.
Absolutely. There's Lordsley there as well. He's doing some good work. Andrew out of position number 14, and there's the number 10, a River Patterson. Mick Magilton just out of shot there. So it's a Magilton sandwich for everyone out there. Andy on pole, Mick on 15, and we've got a green car. That was Robert Patterson, eager to get up and go. It looks like Andy Magilton has disappeared into wheelspin. My golly, he's been gazumped absolutely off the line. Gav Ross, John Maloney, Steve Banks all wave goodbye as it's Mahoney in the 81 that looks out wide in the Shiraz coloured car. I suppose we call that maroon.
Maroon would be normal. Now, Andrew Magilton, the number 14 car, once again, I'm pretty sure he got stuck in first gear. So disappointing. He's had issues and problems with that shifter. By now, I would have thrown it over my left-hand shoulder and gone to something a bit better, a bit smarter, a bit cleaner, mate. He always seems to have shifter issues. But look at Gavin Ross. Loves playing in the dampness, and is leading him through the gaggle of HQs coming out of turn 4.
Ben Rich has got it a bit sideways, exiting 3. There's Andy Lordsley doing a terrific job. Car always looks absolutely immaculate. Mick Magilton. I would suggest Mick's just watching them all get through these first couple of corners before he starts to wage his campaign on the 10-minute journey ahead of them. But Gavin Ross, who has been sitting on the sidelines for the best part of a season or so now, returning to the game, returning in really tricky conditions too. But this guy knows how to win races in HQs, and he'd be very happy to see a spray-free window at this point in time.
Well, that's for sure, but Andrew Magilton has already gone from 5th up into 2nd position. He's already less than half a second behind Gavin Ross, so we'll just have to wait and see as they come through underneath the bridge there, coming down onto the corner there. So, mate, it looks beautiful and green outside.
It is, yeah. And don't worry about it. That blustery tree, that's AI.
Is it?
Yeah, that's AI. That's not real. That's not happening. You've just got to be aware, kids these days. I've been told 10 times this weekend, Dad, this week, Dad, that's AI. Don't get suckered into that. So I'm just letting everyone know. Oh, we got a black flag being displayed there. Wonder. Actually, we've got a number board. No flag being displayed. I wonder what that's informing us. But what it's informing us is, don't look at the board. Have a look at the twin headlight front of Gavin Ross, because the single headlight front of Andrew Magilton is in absolute striking range, and he doesn't wait around for something to happen. Andrew Magilton will throw it down there at the first opportunity he has.
Mate, he's absolutely in love with that car. If you see how smooth that car is through the corners, coming out of the corners and all the rest, Andrew's got some really good grip. It's got some real good mojo coming out of the corners, making some good power. Steve Banks, the fluoro red car. And also we've got then Richie's in the 53 car coming through turns 3 and 4.
Well, on the opening lap, he was trying very, very hard through there. So he's just found the grip level, hasn't he? He's gone off and just somewhere bring it back between lap 1 and lap 2, and that'll be the ideal line for lap 3.
It certainly is, but have a look at this, just trying to work out Gavin Ross. Yep, Andrew Magilton, bang, straight past him, up the back chute, up over the top.
I tell you what, I think he's thrown the shifter out over his left shoulder, and he's using his finger down in the tunnel there just to grab another cog in the number 14. But you're not hanging about if you're driving past Gavin Ross. That is for sure. The number 38 GMG out of Box Hill runs a very tight ship at his workshop. If you're in that area and you need some car work done, go down and see Gavin Ross. And in fact, if you need anything done in here this weekend and you see a sticker on the side of a car, like go down to Middies and get yourself a new fuse or something like that from the electricians. If you see a sponsor on the side of a racing car and you need something that they're in, go and give them a go. Don't just go and tack to them. Give them your business. It's what it's all about.
Yeah, we really have to thank all our sponsors. Thank Tyre Power. On the HQ Guards, we have got sponsors all the way through all the different levels that sponsor each round or are a full-time sponsor. So it's absolutely fantastic. HQs have had very, very good luck getting sponsorship for many, many years. And talking about sponsors and people involved with motorsport, especially this weekend, don't forget Pit Lane Alley. Hopefully that'll fire up and open up, since we're not going to have any rain tomorrow.
Yeah, all the food vans down there, they'll be well stocked up, ready for Dave Amor to come down and enjoy some of the cuisine and delights. Cars just getting it up on the Ripple Strip going sideways there. Graham Francis just in the back shot. They've got 3 wheels out over it. Brandon Wilson here in the number 97. He's got a gaggle of cars lined up behind him at the moment. Great to see the 53, Ben Richards, getting himself through turn 2 and turn 3 that time, hassle-free.
It certainly is, and the Brandon is absolutely going fantastic. This is his first race meeting. It really is. He bought the car about 12 months ago. He's done a couple of practice days, but this is his first race meeting.
I tell you what, he's going to know. He's going to enjoy it a whole lot more when it's dry, isn't he? If he's learning it here and he comes back for more. Out in front now, we're celebrating Andy Magilton, who has got a 1.6 second lead over Gavin Ross, who has got a further 3.5 seconds back to John Mahoney. And just starting to shake it out there. In fact, talking about shaking it out, Steve Banks is giving Mahoney a bit of a shakedown as Ray Jardine ranges up on the back of that conversation as well. In fact, it's not much of a conversation. I think they're probably yelling at each other at the moment.
So over the start-finish line, we've got Andrew Magilton, Ross, John Mahoney, Banks, Jardine, Wilson, Ritchies, Beckers, Tony Maloney, Patterson, Francis, Crawford, Patterson, Legality and Mick Magilton. So that's our 15 cars. As you can see in the camera angle there, the 38 car with the fluoro green lights. John Mahoney there in the 81 car. He's the captain of the HQs. HQRA Victoria there. Wiper blades. Come on, John, you're going fast enough. You don't need them. Or did he forget the Rain-X?
Well, that's only your own worst enemy on a day like today if you're not applying some sort of substance to the inside and the outside of your screen, because there's nothing worse than fogging up. And we start to see, you can see in the 81 side window there, John Mahoney's got the what is called a knacker duct, which gives the fresh air into the cabin there. Big space, and what happens is you get some of the water in on the floor, the exhaust heats that up, and then what you get is that's like being inside a kettle. It's steam on the inside of your car, and that can be quite troublesome.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what that duct was called, but you'll have to fill me in later on, Darren.
NACA, knacker duct.
Knacker duct, all right. Have a look at this, the plumber. Banks has gone around the outside of John Mahoney there, up over the top, down in the dandy corner. You can see that. TV screen, mate. The picture's fantastic. It makes us look good.
I tell you what, it's a lot better than what these poor guys will be having to deal with in not just the HQs, right across the board of all our competitors here all day long. It's been a tricky old day. And have a look at those guys dressed in orange out there. They're the ones, they're the real heroes today, aren't they? Our trackside officials have been absolutely golden here today. A tough day at the racetrack if you're a volunteer official and you're trackside.
Yeah, they certainly are, but I've seen the barbecues have been firing up here in pit lane here for the volunteers once they come off there to dry out, warm themselves up, have a sausage, have a get-together. Thank you, volunteers. Thanks, flaggies, officials, everyone that's out there. Well, have a look at them. The picture shows a million words, mate. Absolutely fantastic. We love our motorsport from either inside the car or like us, outside the car, Darren.
Yeah, exactly. And certainly all those officials trackside, they're well-trained. Motorsport Australia make sure they get all the training they need so that they can make the right decisions. And it's not just these ones trackside. We're in the control tower. There's a dozen people upstairs. There's more than a dozen people downstairs that work for weeks and weeks and weeks leading up to the event. The race secretaries, the coordinators, all of those people do such a wonderful job. And it's not just here at the VHRR Historic Winton. It'll be a couple of weeks' time at Island Magic for the Improved Production Nationals down there. Oh, across there goes Richards again. He's his tracks. He's just following it like a magnet now. He's noticed his lap time's 0.1 of a second faster when he cuts the turn 3 out of it.
well, it takes the steering wheel attendant out of the equation. But, ladies and gentlemen, we've also got the HQ4 hour up at Winton, which should be sunny Winton, the start of December. So we've got some 24 plus cars. That's 2 drivers over 2 days, doing 2 hours per day with a wheel change. And it's absolutely fantastic. So if you want to come and race a HQ, come and see one of these guys. They could be after a co-driver, a sponsor, or even a helper. Darren?
Certainly, there's plenty of motorsport still to go. In fact, here next weekend is one of the big dances. They call it the Sandown 500, but it'll be 250k races on Saturday and Sunday. But I implore you to get off your backside and get trackside tomorrow here at Sandown International. The winter will be rubbed away from today, and we'll welcome a beautiful spring day here to Melbourne. Let's fill the place up with race fans, like-minded people, and have a ripping Sunday for Historic Sandown 2025. Talking about having a ripping Saturday, playing around like a mudlark at the moment is Andy Magilton. He has got the game on a string here, 7.1 seconds clear of Gavin Ross, and I'm not sure that Gavin's ever relinquished that sort of gap to a race leader. I'm sure he'll be burrowing away hard tonight to make sure that the car's good for him tomorrow. Ray Jardine, this is a ripping return to the category. Started out in 9th, and Ray is currently up in 4th, and he has just ticked off John Mahoney there in the maroon HQ. But well done to Ray in the black car. He hasn't been at the track for a while, and I reckon he'll be enjoying this.
Yeah, he certainly will as we go through. Look at Patterson. Oh,
nice.
Speedway style.
Nice. Good catch.
Yep, the 23 fluoro car there. The 89 car there at Becker's. We've got Tony Maloney in the 99 car right behind him. We've also got Crawford in the ex-Andrew Williams car, the 68 car. Steve Betts, like I said, the fastest plumber in the 76 car coming through. Oh,
and this is third place. This is third place here. So Gavin Ross is a good distance out in front.
Yep.
As Ray Jardine now looks at the back of Banks. Last lap board is now going to be showed to car number 14. Our race leader, Andrew Magilton, heads off on one more journey. 4.5 kilometres around here, Sandown International Motor Raceway. And when you see Andy Magilton doing it and driving past Gavin Ross, the home of horsepower, is what Sandown is all about. And if you're not bringing your number one donk to the game at Sandown, you're going to be found wanting, aren't you?
You certainly are.
Oh, over the back of the ripple strips. Yeah, he's not letting go, is he?
Yeah, mate, he's given it 10 tenths. So the Tyre Power HQs for this weekend. It's also the Carl McHenry Memorial also for this weekend for the final race. One of our guys that we lost many, many years ago. Fantastic to catch up with everyone tomorrow afternoon and have a big chat. And a big thank you to Carl McHenry and what he has done for HQ Holdens for over 25 years.
Was that the Tiger Tune car?
Tiger Tune car, yep, spot on.
Yep, remember it well, Carl McHenry, as our race leader has got the back straight all to himself. The green-eyed monster of Gavin Ross just appears down the bottom of the hill there, but for all intents and purposes, Andy Magilton is reaching out for the checkered flag now. He was very gung-ho in turn 1, and he's out over the ripple strips there as well at 7. Down into turn 9 he goes, just gives it a nice, easy turn. I love watching the way he does that, just an ease of the wheel. It's none of this ripping around at it. It's just a nice apex. I guess if he had to rip around at the wheel if someone was challenging him for the spot, but when you've got the track to yourself, just easing the car through, letting the Kenders do all the work with a contact patch on the road.
Yep, Kenders tyres, Pettis suspension, Crow cams, affordable excitement, 6-cylinder Holden HQ, over the start-finish line. How good's this?
Andy Magilton takes the first race for the weekend for the HQs and does it very, very nicely indeed. Let's see how hard Gavin Ross has pushed. And fastest lap of the race too from our race win on the last lap. So he was going for it down at turn 1. Gavin Ross gets home and his fastest lap was on lap number 4. And he's in fact 3.5 seconds slower on that last lap. So out over 12 seconds to Andy Magilton. It's just nice to see a race driver that gets the car on the train line, doesn't it? Just get it working well.
So smooth, so smooth. So what we've got, we'll go through the field, ladies and gentlemen. We've got Magilton, Ross, Banks, Jardine, Mahoney, Ritchie's, Patterson, Beckers, Tony Maloney. Then we've got Crawford, Wilson, Francis, Patterson, the young kid Patterson, extremely well. Andrew Regularity, and also we've still got the ham sandwich, Magilton at the front and at the rear.
And Mick taking up the back of the field. Mick actually had a really good run in the latest state series, the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships. So obviously not enjoying these conditions quite as much as what Andy has done. And Andy has done it nicely there indeed. Cars all streaming through. Well worth getting out here tomorrow to see the HQs racing, and more than just come out and have a look at them in the paddock as well. Take a bit of a wander, have a look at all the classes of cars. Cast your eyes over the HQ. Some of you probably got dropped off to school in one of these, or dare I say it, conceived in the back of one. So who knows what has gone on in a HQ. Dave Amell, thank you so much, as always, for lending us all of your expertise and enthusiasm with the HQs.
No worries, Darren. An absolute privilege, and thank you, VHRR, for this weekend. We really do. And once again, volunteers, go get that barbie happening, get a sausage, have a chat, and catch up. Thank you all very much from Type Power HQs.
HQs will be on track tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then there'll be the curtain closes at 5:15 tomorrow afternoon. What an amazing couple of days we have had here at Sandown International Motor Raceway. The home of horsepower and the Victorian Historic Racing Register have stayed true to their promise. Return of the Thunder. We've got another full day of racing to go tomorrow. A massive thank you to Shannon's Insurance, Penrite Oils, 100 years celebrating in 2026, Equity One. Thank you for all of your support right throughout the historic scene here in Victoria. Cool Drive Auto Parts, Racer Industries, Dana Precision, Apex Steel, Photography, Traction Tyre Centre, NPAVD, Aussie Saws and Auto House, along with the MG Car Club, and of course the Victorian Historic Racing Register for putting on what is a magnificent event every year. Make sure you mark your calendars down for what will be known as the Penrite 100 Classic in March 13, 14 and 15 at the Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit in 2026. A 3-day spectacle of historic, retro and classic cars from all over the world on this magnificent Phillip Island Grand Prix circuit. We've got one more day to go here at the historic Sandown event for 2025. A big thanks to Equity One for their continued support for this fantastic event. It'll be a beautiful day tomorrow here at Sandown, so come and join us here at the track. We will welcome all and one. One entry fee gets you into the pit and paddock area. You can wander around, rub shoulders with the drivers and look at the cars that are racing here this weekend, and then make yourself at home in the magnificent grandstand and the facilities at the main straight here at Sandown International. I'm Darren Smith. I'd like to thank all the production team for putting together the live stream here today with Lennox Media, all of those fantastic camera people around the track that have been putting it together, all of our volunteers trackside, in the paddock, in the tower. A big thank you to everyone, and of course the team that have brought us all of the commentary here from the commentary booth here today. Emma Dean, Chris Jackson, who didn't make it up here, Tom Reed, Phil Memory, great to have Phil on board, Brett Florence, Darren Knight and David Amell. I'm Darren Smith. See you all tomorrow.